Are we excited? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Yeah. When I was starting out in the creative field, I didn't have a lot of people to look up to. So I didn't have mentors in Zambia, to be specific. All I could see is people in accounts, people being doctors. I mean, those you can find a lot of them. When it comes to creative, especially in Zambia, there's few of those. When you talk about spaces as well, you find that there isn't a lot of spaces where, as creatives, we can meet like this and talk about the stuff that we love. Then I figured, let me start a podcast where we can talk about creatives, filmmakers, marketers, entrepreneurs. How can we create a space where we can all come together like this and make such a great event? And so that is how I started Duwit.
Consistency is the mother of results. If you consistently do something, that's when you're going to see the results that you want.
When you're looking at writing for an audience, talk to them as if they're a friend. You know, a very corporate style of communication, and people don't want to read that in this day and age.
It was CES 2024 in a nutshell, and we're just AI. Innovations in AI. We now have an agent in AI. What the microphone is doing is just making my voice be heard. And what AI does is it does that for your brain. So whatever is up here is what it's going to amplify. If you're a bad copywriter, in your copywriting it will amplify it. If you're a bad designer, your design fundamentals, you still have to know the fundamentals. So because you don't have those fundamentals, it will amplify the fact that you don't know those fundamentals.
Yeah, let's do it. Quick one, before we go any further, please remember to like and to subscribe and to share. And I promise to bring you the best and most valuable content.
Hi everyone. Wow, that was quick.
Okay,
my name is Lusaka. Welcome to Bongo Hive and welcome to Hive Coworking. Good to have you all here. I'm not sure you all know what we do here, but if you haven't been here before, please raise your hand, just like in church. Wow, okay, good. So many of you know what Bongo Hive does, or may have seen something on social media. We support entrepreneurs. So we run a number of programs where people have some idea or may not have an idea of a business they want to start. And we then run them through a number of programs that get them to a place where they are making money, they are growing their business and such. As part of supporting businesses, we also have a co-working space. So this is a co-working space. And for many of you creatives, if I may put it in your language, if you want to record a podcast, you can come and rent one of our rooms here. And over the years, we've supported creatives in different ways, and I won't mention all of them, but we know that creatives need specific kind of support, is being able to come into physical spaces like this to learn from others. Now, the co-working space itself, you can rent different types of plans, so you can rent a desk to a full-on office, or you can have meeting rooms as well. I'm not sure where you have your meetings, but in case you want to impress that client or investor, you can use one of our meeting rooms. You just pay a small fee and you will have access. So we have different plans. The actual website is hivecoworking.co.zm, and you will have a number of options. Also, I'm available, and some of my team members are available if you want to have a chat about what's possible. The story of us partnering with Duwit and particularly Mwaka goes a few years back. If you look around the space and the branding of the space, Mwaka used to work at Bongo Hive a few years ago. So when we moved into the space, and yes, I didn't want to tell you about this, but when we moved into the space, Mwaka was a multimedia designer, and he designed the actual brand of Hive Coworking, and also what you see on the walls. Over the past year or so, he's been working on this podcast called Duwit, and in our quest to support creators, we figured his content was amazing. The people that he was hosted on the podcast were amazing people, and we thought instead of it just remaining online, why don't we bring it offline? And so we figured partnering with Mark and Duwit and the rest of the crew would make a lot of sense. I didn't expect all of you to be here, but I'm really glad that the idea has worked out. When we had a chat, and I had a chat with Mark, I told him, we need to experiment and see what's possible. And so we are hoping to learn from this process, from this event. We don't know what the next events will look like, but it's important that you give us feedback on what has worked or not. Just an example, this is the first time we are actually having an event in this area of the space, in this format. So we're always looking for ways to experiment and figure out what works for us and for you as well. And I hope that this particular event will be useful for you. I know it will. I've watched the content, and I'm hoping that all of you will benefit from this. Now, this event is not about me or the co-working space, but it's about amazing content creators and designers and all the creatives. So let me invite Mwaka to come and take up the space, the front. But as it comes, please, the website is hivecoworking.co.zm. I need to pay my bills. So please rent the space. Come and Mwaka, come. Thank you.
Hi guys. I'm so nervous. I usually have one person that I'm talking to, but now it's a whole group of people. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. So I just want to talk a little bit about Duwit. So when I started Duwit, I didn't actually plan to start Duwit or the podcast thing. The idea was for me to start creating videos. For those that follow me online, of course, I've been posting videos occasionally on my YouTube channel and Facebook as well. And so I moved to this new place, and I liked the room, and it's like, oh, this is a pretty cool room. I might as well start doing videos in here, just dedicated for videos. And then from there, instead of just making my own videos, because I've always had this idea where when I was starting out in the creative field, I didn't have a lot of people to look up to. So I didn't have mentors in Zambia, to be specific, that I would watch and say, what are other people doing? All I could see is people in accounts, people doing finance, people being doctors. I mean, those you can find a lot of them. But when it comes to creative, especially in Zambia, there's few of those. Also, when you talk about spaces as well, you find that there isn't a lot of spaces where, as creatives, we can meet like this and talk about the stuff that we love. And then starting out, of course, I looked to Mapaalo. He's one of the people that I looked up to when I was down and depressed, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, career-wise. So I looked up to Mapaalo, Kangombanga, Dickens, Shaw is here. So a lot of people in the background there. So then I figured, okay, let me start a podcast where we can talk about creatives, filmmakers, marketers, entrepreneurs. How can we create a space where we can all come together like this and make such a great event? And so that is how I started Duwit. And I was just like, okay, Duwit. So it was supposed to be Draw Out, but because of Pakra, you know how Pakra, when you just say a name, they make you change your name. Okay, so just call it Duwit. So the idea is Draw Out. So each one of us has a potential in us. So if you don't try that potential, or you don't try out many things, you won't be able to find that potential that you have. So draw out meaning, draw out what you have in you, draw out your potential. So that was the original idea. And that's why this is, when you look at the logo, this is the D and the O, draw out. But because of Pakra, it's now do it. Yeah, but do it, of course, also means doing it. Yeah, like a verb. So that's where Do It comes from. So with Do It, we want to create a community more than a podcast. I like being practical. That's why I have a section called Do It segment. Chipepo has done it there, Mapaalo, Dickens, and other people that have been on the podcast as well. So I'm pretty excited with what we're doing. Even for this event, I was just nervous. Are people going to show up? And now I'm seeing everybody. Now I'm not sure if the chairs are gonna be enough. Yeah. But anyway, so this is the platform that we're creating. So this is not the first and last event that we're having. We hope to have more events and invite more creatives and just standing out online. Oh, my mic has been off. Great. Yeah, so we're going to be having more events and such meetups. Secondly, also, of course, workshops and live sessions like this. Then also, we're creating a platform where you can learn, collaborate, and thrive. So after this, we're going to have a bit of networking as well. Then what is the future? Now, call to action as I'm finishing up because we need to start doing it. Yeah, so what you can do now in order for us to grow. So of course, for those that have not subscribed to the channel, of course, it's Mwaka Suza on YouTube, so just subscribe. You support us like that. Another thing you can do is always engage with the content. If you post a trailer or a new video, just, so that we can grow the numbers as well. You can do that as well. Then for this event, of course, if you're going to be posting pictures, just make sure you put the hashtag Duwit Experience. So one word, Duwit Experience. And then, of course, we're going to be creating a community. I'm sure we have a WhatsApp group where we're going to be sharing everything that we're going to be doing and also upcoming events that are going to be coming. So it's going to be about doing it. I don't just like talking. I like being practical. So that's exactly what we're going to do. But enough about me and Duwit. Let's focus on the events now, the real stuff. So we have a panel of discussion here. So we have Raisa. Raisa is the creative director at Giraffe Creatives. So when you look at those adverts for Boom, most of those, she's one of the people behind those works as well. Then Taonga is also a content creator. She's also a digital marketer. She's doing also amazing things. She's also working for Giraffe Creatives. She just joined them. Yeah. Now, of course, we have Mapaalo. Mapaalo, I've been following Mapaalo for a long time. Like I said, when I was starting out and didn't have anybody to look up to, Mapaalo is one of the people whose work inspired me. And so here we are today. And Mapaalo is also an art director, he's a designer, motion designer, videographer, photographer. So he's doing all those things. I mean, I also do the same stuff as well. Like, I love so many things. I do videos, I do photography, all those things. So Mapaalo was like the perfect example that I was looking up to do all those things. So we're going to have interesting presentations. Of course, Mapaalo is going to touch on AI. And then Raisa and Taonga are going to talk about standing out online. So how do you stand out online and all that? So the first presentation is going to be Raisa and Taonga. And so before, even as you are coming in front, just give him a hand. Yeah.
Can I use the table?
Yeah. Are we excited? Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Thanks for all making the drive here. I know a few of you got lost. So did I on my first time. No offense to Hive Coworking space. I think you need a big sign. Yeah. I think as Maka introduced us, my name is Raisa, and I'll be speaking with
Taonga.
Yeah,
Taonga Sakala.
exactly. And we're just going to get into a little bit about being seen online. So it's going to be more conversational, and we will open it up at the end for questions. So, if you're screaming inside with something you really want to ask, just write it down. And we'll come to that at the end. So I think, a lot of us, a lot of creatives, and I think people in general, a lot of times we're always looking at people who are making it really big online. I think we've all seen this trend of the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the Instagrammers who have like overnight fame and they actually sustain it. How do they keep it up? So, Taonga here, a digital native, she's kind of going to dive into that and give us a little bit of insight on how we can do that for ourselves to make sure that we have that same growth, but also we're finding the right opportunities for our own personal growth. And then I'm going to touch on copywriting and how you can also use that in your content marketing online, whether it's for your own brand or it's for your clients or it's for a campaign or whatever it is. Cool. So Taonga, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story?
Okay.
A little bit of background.
Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Taonga, if you don't know me. So I go by the Zambian female hustler online. So a bit about me, how I started, how I became a creative was in high school. I actually loved art and I liked designing, drawing. So I thought I would be an artist, like actually drawing, but life happened. And I actually also, before going into uni, I applied to art school, in the USA. I applied to graphics design school. I actually got accepted to one of the schools, but it was very, very expensive. So I couldn't go there. So someone told me, it's like, oh, IT is like graphics design. That's what most Zambians think. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could go into IT. I started studying at Northrise University in Ndola. So I'm originally from the Copper Belt. So I started studying web and software development, thinking it would be like graphics design, because the recruiter was like, it's similar, but it wasn't. I was coding and I didn't really like coding. It's a really good skill to have, but like it wasn't my thing. I was more into creative stuff. So I started teaching myself graphics design through YouTube, applying for courses online, learning from different people, and yeah, just trying out. And I started getting like side gigs, like through freelancing. I was in school, but I was like getting clients. And then I started interacting with people in the community. So I started talking to different designers, and they also started helping me grow and improve my designs. Before posting something, I would ask them like,
okay,
is this good enough? Yeah. So yeah, that's my journey. So I started in 2019. That's when I started learning graphics design through making people into cartoons on my phone. So I was using an app called PixArt. I don't know if anyone knows PixArt. Yeah, so I started with PixArt on my phone, making people into cartoons. And then I started learning Illustrator, and I would make people into cartoons. It would take me like 6 hours, and then I would charge them like 50 kwacha. So yeah, then I started doing artworks for like upcoming artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the music space?
Yeah, in the music
Right.
space, like people who are upcoming, I would do designs for their cover art, but like I realized like most are broke, so I wouldn't make money. Sorry if you're an upcoming artist. Yeah, yeah. So I started learning more of like logo design, corporate branding, and transitioning into like branding. And then I started working on like passion projects. Okay. So passion projects are what landed me my first branding client, because I would do a passion project and then post it on Behance, post it online, and people started approaching me for more gigs. So showing my work actually got me the clients, and they kept on coming up. Also being consistent online, sharing what I'm learning, and yeah, that's how I started getting gigs. Then before graduating, I got a chance to get an internship as an intern at Spen. So Spen, that was like my first in 2023. So before that, I was working at a printing shop. I worked for like a month, and I was like, guys, no, this is not me. So when the Spain thing came, I was like, oh, let me just go to Lusaka. So I had to move from Ndola to Lusaka. That was my chance to leave the Copper Belt. So I took it. Yeah. And I was still in school. So I was like, I'm going to switch to online school, because this is my opportunity to actually do what I love to do. Yeah, so after that, 2023, from intern for 3 months, I was working with Michael. Yeah, Michael the legend. Yeah, so I was following Michael. He's someone I looked up to. So I was like, oh, working with Michael would be very cool. He's actually the one who interviewed me. And it was a learning process. I learned a lot from Michael and other designers, Emmanuel, and yeah, I got promoted. Oh no, not promoted. That's before I got promoted. So that's in 2023. So 2023 intern, then I became a content creator for Spen. Worked for a year, 6 months, and got promoted to creative content creator and digital marketer. Yeah, so then in 2024, last year, I didn't win, but I was like top 3 in the Africa Must Think competition, which had like 1,000 people in it. So that gave me a lot of like visibility online and landed me my next job. Yeah, so like, yeah, I got a job opportunity because the owner of the business saw me online, and he was like, oh, she's really good at what she does. And I got a job, and it like literally doubled my income. So yeah, that's about me. And now I'm with Giraffe.
Now she's a giraffe.
Yeah,
How did you get the opportunity?
the opportunity at Giraffe.
We have our ways, Mwaka. We have our ways.
I applied, Mwaka.
Trade secrets.
Yeah, so I applied to Giraffe because I really wanted to work in in an agency, like to get the agency experience. So when I saw the Giraffe ad, I was like, oh, this could be my chance. So that's how I applied. And now I'm with Raisa, Giraffe. She's my boss.
Hey, whoa.
Yeah.
That's evil.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about me. That's a bit about
Great.
me. I hope you learned something.
I think something good that we should dive into after is your experience. I think comparing your experiences working in marketing for a company and in agency.
Yeah.
Because I think that's quite interesting to talk about. But before we get into that, before like your people actually start engaging with your content online, how do you actually make sure that you're seen, right? So like, as you said, you won the competition and that gave you a lot of visibility. But I think another thing you mentioned was consistency in your posting. So let's dive into how do you do it, but then also how would you advise others to do it?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. I'm going to share a few slides and then we're going to do a little exercise because this is a Duwit podcast, Duwit Experience, and it has to be practical. How can you show up online and get noticed? So I'll start by asking a few questions. So are you searchable online? If I go on Google or any platform where you are and search for you, will I find you? Can I easily find you with a simple search on maybe Facebook, Google, YouTube? We have many social media platforms. Yeah, if I search for you, will I easily find you? Is your bio clear and compelling? Does it instantly tell people who you are, what you do, and who you help? Because your bio needs to tell me what exactly you do. Immediately I go to your page, I need to instantly know like, oh, this person is about this. This is a brand designer. This is a graphics designer. This is a digital marketer. This person is a coach. I need to know what you're about when I just go to your page. And then would you follow your own page? Would you follow yourself? Like you came across your page, would you follow your page? Is your content helpful, inspiring, engaging? And does it talk to your ideal audience? Like, is it engaging to your ideal audience? Is it inspiring? Is it helpful? Yeah, so these questions, you can think about them and, you can tweak your online presence So I'll talk more about it. Why should you show your work online? So right now we're in a digital world and most people are online and visibility has become like your currency now. If Mwaka didn't start the Duwit podcast, we wouldn't have had this right now, the Duwit Experience. Bongo Hive wouldn't have reached out to him if he didn't show up online. So showing your work actually lands you opportunities. If I didn't come out like third in the graphics design competition for Africa Must Think, out of 1,000 people, it wouldn't have landed me to the job opportunities that came my direction after that. I didn't beg, but I positioned myself in a way that it attracted opportunity to come my direction. I positioned myself in a way to stand out so that people who I'm trying to attract came to me instead of me begging to go to them. So showing up online helps you stand out. It helps you get people to come your directions, opportunities to come in your direction. So last year, the end of last year, I got invited to the Book World back to school campaign because of posting consistently on LinkedIn. Someone just messaged me and said, oh, I really love your content and what you're doing. I would love you to come to the campaign launch. And if I didn't show up online, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So showing up online will get you into rooms that you wouldn't expect to get into. It will give you visibility to people who might actually change your life, give you something, an opportunity, can land you clients. So visibility is now the new currency. The people you reach could enrich you, can actually even elevate your life, help you change your life. So that's why you need to show up online. So I say consistency is the mother of results, because if you consistently do something, that's when you're going to see the results that you want. Think of your favorite content creator. Why do you love them? Because they consistently show up every time. Maybe they consistently entertain you with their comedy skits, with their content. They consistently show up, and now you love them and you know them because they are showing up every single day. And being consistent makes you more memorable for the specific thing you consistently do. So if you consistently show up as a graphics designer or brand designer, people will link that to you. When there's an opportunity for a brand designer, you'll be the one that will immediately call, because you've consistently shown up as that person. If you talk about maybe, for example, maybe like Chipepo, she talks about finances and money. So every time like I think of financial literacy, I'll think Chipepo, because she's consistently shown up as someone who talks about money, finances. So you need to think of what you're going to consistently show up as and what you want to be known for. So that's why you need to consistently show up for that. I've said that word too many times, yeah. So what do you want to be known for? That's what you should consistently show up as. So what are the biggest mistakes creatives make? So number one is like, most creatives are like perfectionists. So they'll be waiting for the perfect moment. Like, oh, I just need all the cameras. I need like perfect cameras. I need a good microphone. I need to start creating content. But there's someone, they don't even have a good phone and they've already started. And they're way ahead of you because they have gotten started with what they have. But you are waiting for the perfect moment to have everything together. No, I'm only going to start maybe selling your ideas when I reach 10K followers. What if you never reach the 10K followers? So the perfect moment never comes. You just have to show up with what you have and with what, yeah, just show up. Just start. We never start out perfect, but the more we do it, the more we improve. So perfection only comes through doing it and practicing it. So just start with what you have, with where you are at. Then another thing is like jumping from niche to niche. I've had this problem before because I have like so many things that I like and like to do. But like, it's better to be known for a specific thing. It's easier for people to remember you when you have something specific that you're known for. So you have to be known for one thing. Pick something that you want to be known for. Are you gonna be a designer? Are you gonna be a videographer? Be known for something. Another thing is people mostly focus on followers instead of the value. You want 10K followers, you want 50K followers, but with your 1K followers, what value are you giving them? What value are you giving them? You have to focus on what you have now before you actually want more. Yeah, followers is important, numbers are important, but what value are you giving the followers you have right now? So focus on giving value to the ones that you have now, while also focusing on growing. Yeah, we all want to grow, but like value is very important. Number 4 is treating social media like it's your portfolio and with no connection. So like, yeah, treating it like a museum. You just post and you leave. No one is going to interact with your content if you're not interacting with their content. So social media should be a connection. You have to connect with other people. Comment on their posts. They'll comment on your posts, like their posts, share their posts. It's about connection, not just a one-sided thing where you post and like you wait for people to just like your content and you are not interacting with their content. It's through social media where we connect with different people. I've connected with so many people who've changed my life through social media. So treat social media as a point of networking, connecting, because that's where your clients are. That's where your next collaboration is. And without social media, I think I wouldn't be here because I knew Mwaka through social media and I connected to him through social media. Another thing is comparing yourself to people with more years of experience. You're in chapter 1, someone's chapter 10, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're so much better than me, and you're failing to post because they are way better. Start with where you are and post. even if you're not really good, your designs are not their work or what, or people don't like them, just start posting. The more you work, the more you share your work, the process, even showing your process, how you're growing, is also content. People will follow you, they'll watch you grow, and they'll be more connected to you. So you can share with your journey with us. Share how you're starting out. Maybe as you're trying to learn a new skill, you can make that into content and say, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my journey to becoming maybe a writer. Then you share what you're writing today and whatnot. So you can make that into a story of your own.
Before we move though, I just want to ask, show of hands, who is guilty of some of these? Because I know I am. And Dickens, when the slide came up, those of you who know Dickens, he pointed right at me and said, number one is you. This felt personal.
Yeah.
But it's good to know we're all in the same space.
Yeah.
So even now you're really here for us.
I've had some of them, but yeah, we're learning and growing.
Exactly.
Where should you show your work? So there are different types of platforms we have. Social media is growing. We have more platforms. I forgot to add TikTok, but yeah, we have TikTok now. It's new. Most people are on it now. So depending on what platform, it depends on your target audience actually. So depending on who you're trying to target, that's where you go. That's the platform you go on. So if you're more looking for like more professionals, corporates, LinkedIn would be your platform. Maybe if you're looking for a job, LinkedIn is your platform. Clients are also there. Collaborations are also there. Instagram is like more visual, storytelling, and Facebook is more, everyone's on Facebook. So most people are there. It's more for local audiences, groups. We have communities. There's that group, the graphics design group, that, yeah, there are different types of platforms. Then Behance is more like a portfolio type of website where you can show your work. And you can also get like international gigs there. And it's more for like designers, creatives who are trying to show their work on a platform where they can easily show their processes, how they came up with designs and whatnot. So depending on where your audience is and what you're trying to share online, you can pick a platform and go on it. And then TikTok, which I forgot to add, is more of like short form content. It's more like real content. Like most people are not very, like Instagram is more put together. Like, yeah, you won't show up with like messy hair on Instagram, but like TikTok, you can find someone with a hair bonnet and they're just creating content. It's more real.
Authentic.
Yeah, authentic type of things, yeah. So depending on what style of content you are trying to put out, you choose a platform based off of that. So pick your audience, then you pick a platform. So younger people are on TikTok, older people are mostly on Facebook. So depending on who you're trying to target, you choose a platform where you're going to showcase your work. So maybe if you're looking for more of like corporate gigs, you go to LinkedIn because most of the corporates are there. If you're trying to sell art, Instagram, Facebook would be the best option. Maybe if you want international gigs for your design work, Behance is great. Instagram is also great. So just post your content, just post what you have, and people will show up for you. So post where the people are, where your people are. Where are your people? Figure out that and then show up there and show your work there. Yeah, so tips to stay consistent without burning out. Because like sometimes, you get tired of posting. So you can batch process your work. So instead of creating content every single day, you say, I'm going to create content over the weekend. Like maybe you say, I'm going to create a bunch of content for like the next 2 weeks in 1 weekend. And then use like a scheduling tool like Meta Business Suite to schedule your posts. And then you can also repurpose your content. So one post, maybe let's say from a long form YouTube video, you can create short form TikToks or shorts. And then maybe you can also create it into an article. So you can repurpose your content. And then also you could come up with 2 to 3 content pillars. So your content pillars are like topics you can cover. So it could be your work, your process, lessons you're learning. So as an example, that's how you can show up and not get burnt out. So this is a Duwit experience. So we need to do it. Yeah, so now let's do a simple Duwit activity. We're going to craft a bio that can get you noticed. So at the start of this presentation, I asked questions. Are you searchable? Would you follow yourself and whatnot? So we're gonna write a bio. So if you have a phone, you have a notebook, you're going to write your current bio. So what's your current bio? So I need you guys to write down what's your current bio on any platform. It could be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So write down your current bio. If you don't have, don't write. Maybe if you don't have a bio, but if you have a bio, just write down what you have on your social media. Yeah, you can write down your current bio. And then 2, you're going to rewrite your bio using this formula. So the formula is I help, then who you help, achieve, what you help them achieve, by how you help them achieve it. So yeah, so you use that formula to rewrite your bio if it's already like that, it's fine. Then you're on the right track. So use the formula to rewrite your bio. And then also in your bio, you need to add searchable keywords. When people are searching online, they don't search names. They search for specific things. Maybe if they're looking for a logo designer, they'll put logo designer. Digital marketer, they'll put digital marketer. So your bio should have these types of keywords that are searchable. Number 4, you can pair up with the person next to you, and you can share with them after that.
In the networking segment, Taonga's going to come around and judge all of your bios to make sure you leave with amazing bios. So please make sure you're doing this activity because we're going to come around. Hold on. I'm part of the panel. Great.
And then if anyone brave enough, afterwards you can share your bios if you've already made one.
Do you want to read us yours, Taonga?
I have examples of bios.
Do we all have them written down? No. What's your current bio read? Do you know?
Okay, let me read mine.
Taonga will quickly read her bio so you guys have an idea of what it should sound like. Mine is definitely not professional. I'll tell you that. You've been on my LinkedIn. It's very unserious.
I have like different bios for different platforms. Yeah, so my bio has content creator and digital marketer.
Okay.
So that's like
2 buzzwords.
Yes, searchable. So like if someone says searching for a content creator, I'll show up.
Yeah.
This is for LinkedIn. So helping businesses grow with targeted online strategies that drive engagement and conversions. So that's my bio. So who I'm helping? Businesses. What am I helping them with? I'm helping them grow with what? Targeted online strategies that do what? They drive engagement and conversions.
Great.
Yeah, so that's my bio.
We're not going to read mine. It's a bad example. But we're going to go on to the next slide where you said you have some examples.
Yeah, Dickens. Your bio is my example. So Dickens, I really like Dickens' bio because it's straight to the point. So Dickens, this is his LinkedIn bio. So he's my example for LinkedIn. So he's written brand designer. So when someone searches for brand designers, Dickens is most likely to show up. And then he's written collaborating with founders of SMEs. So he's specific of who his target is. So founders of SMEs are his target, looking to build meaningful brands through thoughtful design. So people who are looking to build meaningful brands through thoughtful designs, when they come across that, they'll be like, oh, this is my guy. Yeah, so his bio is something that I feel ties up everything because he's got a keyword which is searchable, which is brand designer. And he's written who he's helping and how he's helping them achieve it. And then there's this other person, Ava, who I found on social media. I don't know her personally, but I like her content. So this is an example for Instagram. So if you see her name, she's put her name, then she's put content marketing. So when you search content marketing, you're most likely to find her. And then she also put social media management. So this is what she does, and she's put them in her name on Instagram. So it's easy to find her because she's searchable. Then in her bio, she's written, helping business owners grow and sell on social media. So who is she helping? Business owners. What is she helping them do? She's helping them sell on social media. And then she does social media management. She's done that. And she's put built $1 million business with social media. So that's social proof. So social proof is also important because it gives you credibility that you've done it before. So if someone sees, oh, she's built like $1 million business through social media, they'll most likely trust her. And then she's got a call to action in her bio. Want to work together, and then there's a link to our website. So that's a call to action. So you could also have that in your bio where you put a call to action, then maybe a link to something. It could be your website, it could be your WhatsApp or something if you want them to message you, or a link to something. So even it's easy to message her because there's a button there. There's a contact information button. So make it easy for people to easily contact you. That's also something that's important. So maybe having a link, having a button will make you more searchable. Then we have Martha. Martha is there. Yeah, so Martha is on Facebook. I also liked her bio, and I liked that she also had a call to action. So online business coach, that's what she is. I empower ambitious entrepreneurs and experts with strategies and skills they need to succeed to become profitable online. So who she helps is ambitious entrepreneurs and experts. And how does she help them? With strategies and skills that they need to build something, to become profitable online. And then she has a call to action. Join my free online community for more valuable content. And there's a link to join. So it's easy for someone who is like an ambitious entrepreneur to join her community because there's a call to action in her bio. Then there's also a link to her WhatsApp. If I want to contact her, reach out to her, it's easy because her WhatsApp link is there, and also easy to join her community. So your bio needs to, 1, be searchable with a keyword of what you do. 2, it needs to have what you do, who you help, and how you do it. And then you could have a call to action for them to join something or visit your website or something like that. Yeah, I hope we've written our bios. Anyone to share their bio that they think is like exceptional? I
feel like you need to rewrite Zesco's bio. Not providing consistent electricity to the people of Zambia.
Yeah. Anyone who would like to share their bio?
Come on, guys, it's time to do it.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, so the bio I came up with was, I help corporates maintain a consistent and professional brand identity by creating engaging and professional videos.
Oh, great.
Good job. That's to the point.
Good point. Yeah. Great.
A-star student.
Yeah. Any other person? Yeah, yes. Okay, please say your name when you...
Tamala.
Yeah, Tamala.
So mine is interior designer / founder. Then I have the link for my business,
Yeah.
my company. And then I have a guide as well, which is how to start a business guide, and then telling stories through spaces and design.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
I think I've seen her ad online.
You're showing up.
Yeah, she's showing up. Yeah, she is. I've seen her ad.
Okay, I think in the meantime, while we're waiting for the screens to come back up, do you guys have any questions for Taonga at this point? I know we said we're going to keep it to the end, but I think now's a good time to kind of jump in while everything's fresh.
Okay, you could start with her.
What was your most consistent platform? Like, which platform had the most engagement for you? Like, built the most community for the niche you have?
I think for me, it's been LinkedIn. I feel like I've been more consistent there. The other platforms are just like, I'm here, there, but LinkedIn has been the most consistent, and that's where I get most of my leads from. So I've been more consistent on LinkedIn. Yeah, for me, it's LinkedIn. Also Facebook, yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm trying TikTok, but it's like on autopilot right now. But yeah, LinkedIn.
You had a question, and then two more.
So my question was on the platform that you had highlighted. One of the platforms you highlighted was Behance, and you put conditions which say it's most helpful if you are seeking international clients. So I think for me the challenge I face with international clients is payment methods. If I get somebody who's in the US, how do I conveniently and efficiently receive funds without the hassle of charges? So how, if you have experience in that area, what payment gateways have you used to receive funds?
Okay, so for international clients, World Remit has been working, but it's really difficult because of PayPal where you can't receive. So like the people who've worked around it, but I'm not one of them. I would be lying if I said that. But I know some people who have international clients and they use World Remit to receive their money through mobile money. So that's the only option at the moment. I'm not sure if there's other options. Maybe someone in the audience might know. They could, yeah.
Okay, so with World Remit, you don't necessarily have to have the PayPal account.
Yeah.
You know how it is, but you can actually receive your money, especially Airtel. You can receive it directly into your Airtel money account. And then, depending on the type of plan that you have, you're creative, so in essence, you're a business owner. And I have to say this, as a business owner, you have to be very sharp. You have to always find solutions. So if there's someone out there who has managed to find a workaround on how to receive money to pay, you find that workaround. You also take advantage of platforms, that there are different platforms that you can use. For example, we have a local one right now, KCPay. So depending on the type of card that your customer or client is using, they might be able to pay through KCPay. So that is for like international, but limited to an African space. For example, it would work well with maybe a client from Nigeria, Malawi, South Africa, such countries. Then we have another platform called Seller. Seller is a platform for digital product business owners. But you don't necessarily have to show them that you're selling a digital product. You can just create a product link, like a payment link. So maybe you just put on the name, like maybe ebook. Doesn't necessarily have to be an ebook. Tell them to say, just buy this product and I'll be able to receive the money. Yeah, then you figure out how you're going to withdraw that money. So, like I said, just you find a lot of videos on how you can do these things. Like, for example, my PayPal account, I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos, try out this, try out that, and now I'm able to withdraw to my Zambian account. So it's just a matter of, just being proactive and looking for solutions.
So we know who to go to at the end. Financing. There's a question. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
To be a 1/6 or type of content where you can do you can customize about that for LinkedIn, one for Instagram, TikTok, or just like the 1/6 all.
Okay, so my LinkedIn has a different bio from my Facebook because I have a different type of audience I'm trying to attract on LinkedIn versus on Facebook. So maybe LinkedIn, I'm trying to attract more of like business owners, corporate people. And then on Facebook, I'm trying to attract like a student who's trying to like learn how to monetize their skills. So there's a difference with the type of people I'm trying to attract. So your bio will be different if you're trying to attract a different audience on a different platform. Yeah.
Last question from Dickens.
Well, I think for me, what I was going to ask that I think you mentioned, which I think is key, is you mentioned the aspect of consistency.
Yeah.
I see a lot of creatives start out so well, but along the way, or maybe after a month or two,
Yeah.
they just begin to start. Before you know it, their page is gone. So I would like to just speak so much about consistency, just how you would, go about it.
Yeah. Oh, there's one hand this side. Yeah, that's important. It's important to be consistent.
Okay, we'll just wrap up with that one because then we'll have to move on. Don't worry, don't forget, Mapaalo is eager to tell you guys about his AI.
Yeah.
So, no. But please keep them for the networking section. So right at the end, when we've got time to chat around, you can come directly to Taonga with those questions. Yeah? Do you want to quickly respond to Dickens, and then we can?
Oh yeah. So consistency. I know people might feel like, okay, no one is liking my post, and then they fall off, or like they feel like, oh, I'm not getting the engagement I want. I'm not getting the likes I want. I'm only getting 50 likes. But like, if there are 50 people in the room, you can feel it. So, as Dickens said, just keep showing up. You never know. You never know. Just keep showing up. And if you want to grow, look for ways and strategies to increase your audience, increase your engagement, because there are ways of doing that. So keep showing up, be consistent. I think that's it from me. And keep doing it.
Thank you. Is that a question?
Yeah.
Regarding the international payments.
Uh-huh.
So I think last month I applied for music.
Yeah.
So I received the money through Menstack.
Yeah.
So Menstack is like God's money about Excel. I tried to say that instead of giving it to people.
Yeah.
I withdrew, my phone was blocked. So that was about 2 years ago.
That's
so
unfortunate.
Now I goes to Menstack. So
Yeah.
Menstack withdrew the Pioneer account.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anyone has used Pioneer here. I did see it normal. I was withdrawing $80 US. I was times 15. That's too much. You know, if I told somebody who's used it before,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't know, like $50.
In this economy, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
For a bigger project, if it's big, you know, millions of dollars, yeah.
Maybe we need a solution for that.
Yeah.
Okay, just sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, but my heart will not get this if I don't mention this. I forgot. So, if you want something a bit simpler, you can also try yellow card.
Oh yeah, yellow card. Yes.
Yeah. I love the.
Oh yeah, I've actually received money through yellow card. Yeah.
It's very easy. You withdraw to your mobile money and it doesn't take a lot of time. Then another way, this one would require some effort from you, but you can set up a payment gateway for yourself using DPO. DPO, yeah. So just try to research on DPO group of companies, and then you can set up a payment gateway. So yeah, again, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. You have to be very proactive. This doesn't work, we try out this until you find what works for you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Okay, did you have a question? Disclaimer, all the designers in here, don't judge. Okay? I try my best. Art director, don't judge. I try my best. Also, if there are any spelling errors, it's because I was sleep deprived and panicking. So please bear with. But yeah, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about copy and copywriting. Because it seems that I've been in that space by accident for a few years. So Maka thinks I may have some interesting things to tell you. So here we go. Great, so we're going to basically kind of talk about copy that gets attention, but also writing for impact. Cool. So what is the impact of writing? So I think writing or copy kind of shapes how messaging is communicated or perceived. If you think about the kind of content you guys look at every single day, a lot of it sometimes is to do with the copy. I think even speaking to what Taonga has been telling us, the searchability of some of the words I use in your bio communicates how you're perceived. You know, are you a brand designer? Are you a jack of all trades and a master of none? Right? So I think copy does have quite a big impact. And I feel like in our space, in the creative space, we kind of deal with two styles of copy. So we have copy for content, and this is looking at driving your engagement, communicating your brand voice, online visibility, which is your SEO, which Taonga spoke to. But then you also have copy for design. And I'm sure a lot of the designers here will agree with this, because this is where you're using copy in your artworks, you're using them in your billboards, even in some of your videos. And what is this doing? You're creating an emotional impact, your visual hierarchy, and you're just providing clarity, and it kind of gives a direction for the audience for how they should engage with your content. Copy, because I've been doing it for so long, and I know design is very much a form of visual communication, but I do believe that copy is, it has been one of our oldest forms of communication as well, I think they both work on their own. So design can work on its own. Sometimes you'll get a beautiful billboard that's just an image, or you can just have text. So apart they still work, but together, I think they create magic. So I think the skill is finding how to merge the two together. And I think one thing that I always like to say is great copy isn't just about having fancy words or giving you the most information. It's also about connecting your story through a direction. That's just kind of how I see copy. So, these are two examples that I love because I feel like they use design and copy in very creative ways. I think globally we all know have a break, have a Kit Kat is Kit Kat's phrase. They didn't even have to put the logo there for you to know what they were talking about. Here we have a dental ad, which is so great. Do you need a filling, or do you also have a very big gap in your teeth, like this ad? So these are just some really cool ways that I feel like copy has, helps you just get your message out there in a very creative way. So I kind of want to speak into great writing versus effective writing. I also find that there's a tendency, I'm guilty of this, where when I started doing copywriting, especially for an agency, you're under this assumption, or you put this pressure on yourself to create something that's you want somebody to stop and be like, oh wow, that's so creative, right? But realistically, who's gonna think that, right? The saying, it takes one to know one. Only another creative or writer is gonna actually see that. Is it actually speaking to your consumer? And that's where effective writing comes in. So, if we're shifting the focus from great writing, where you have your target audiences now are the creatives, to effective writing, which is what is the action taken out of what I'm writing? How am I guiding people? I think it just provides a clearer objective and a clearer goal for how you're doing things. So yeah, does your copy speak to your objectives, or does it just sound good? If you're actually just creating copy as a creative, that's fine. But if you're using it, especially as a business, or to push your brand or to push your client's brand, you have to be a bit more direct with how you're doing things. So I feel like this in a nutshell just speaks to great or effective writing, but also leads to our second segment. So if you read the entire thing, so we wanted to write about our locally sourced natural ingredients, but short billboard headlines are better compared to our ingredients are better, right? I think that just speaks volumes in terms of knowing what is great writing, what is effective writing, but also what is more engaging, what is direct and to the point, who are you speaking to? You know what I mean? So boring versus engaging. And Ogilvy is one of the brands or marketing agencies, I think, that we all know about just because they're such an institution globally. And David Ogilvy is known for his really great insight. And one of the things he said is, you can't bore people into buying. As much as you're like, no, this is great, let me show you how, you're going to lose them halfway through your journey. How do you just directly tell them how is this going to impact your life, right? So I've just put very few little pointers on from my experience, what I perceive boring versus engaging copy to be. So boring copy, when you read it, it kind of feels textbooky. You can kind of get the feeling that if I put this anywhere else, it will still make sense, right? It sounds a bit bland. So there's nothing in it that's getting me excited. And it doesn't evoke any kind of emotion in me. Whereas engaging reads like a conversation, right? Because remember, the whole part of even your marketing or your communication is you're trying to connect with people. It doesn't leave room for doubt. So you're not now questioning what the message is. It's very clear. And it triggers a response. So is it an emotional response that I'm now going to like this brand? Is it I need to take an action? I need to buy a product? Is it visit a site? It's very clear about what it wants me to do. So these are a few pointers of, like, instead of download, let's say you've got a free ebook about something, get your free copy. Instead of learn more, find out how. Instead of contact, are you ready to chat? So can you see how some are very textbook and some are more conversational? And I think, when you're looking at writing for an audience, talk to them as if they're a friend. And I think that has been one of the most important lessons I've learned, because I was very much stuck on, very corporate style of communication, and people don't want to read that in this day and age. I think we're very much breaking down those barriers, and everything is about becoming personal brands. How are we speaking to our audiences? How are we connecting with them on an emotional level? So a little demo here. I might say it's straightforward, but maybe not. But maybe you guys can guess which is the boring and which is the engaging copy. So I made up a juice product that I wrote a little caption for. So I'm going to read both. So, introducing a new raspberry juice drink. Made with natural ingredients and low sugar, it keeps you healthy and hydrates your thirst at the same time. Now available in supermarkets nationwide. Now it's not bad, right? Pretty good, tells you what you need to know. Or say hello to your new favorite sip. Sweet, tangy, and ridiculously refreshing, our raspberry juice is packed with real fruit and zero nonsense. Grab a bottle, take a sip, and thank us later. Now in stores near you. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
And even how you're going to perceive it. I feel like one actually makes you wake up a little bit more because it sounds more exciting, where the other is kind of like just a newsread, like, oh yeah, there's a new juice in the aisles, go buy it. The other one's like, you don't want to miss out on this. What? You know? So it's just a quick demo of how you can switch up your writing style. Okay, so writing to sell an idea. One of the pointers I had when I was writing this was how do campaigns and marketers use writing to sell an idea? And this is a really, really good framework that's used. So attention, interest, desire, and action. So you want to gain attention, you want to build interest, create a desire for the product, and ultimately prompt the reader to take an action. And if you think about it, it actually kind of speaks back into what Taonga had said, even about the bios, right? So directly going into, Dickens, I want to mention yours because it's off the top of my head, is brand designer, right? What does he do? He helps, he's building up interest to say he helps founders of SMEs, right? So you're like, oh, and then you start thinking, am I a founder of SMEs? Could I buy into this? And I help them achieve this. And then there's a contact. So there's a direct action you can take. So one ad that I found that works really well is this one that they did for Nike. This is trash, right? And it's instantly going to grab you because you're like, what do you mean, Nike? You're trying to sell a shoe.
Yeah.
Don't you guys need to pay bills? Are you that rich? What do you mean? And then what do they explain underneath? So they've gotten your attention, and now they're building the interest to say, at least 25% of the sneaker weighs in at pure trash. Introducing Space Hippie, one big step with a small footprint. That's gotten your attention, and it's created desire for the product. What is the call to action? Move to zero. Because this was a whole campaign aimed at sustainability, eco-friendly shoes, and how they are taking action with their products. So it's just a really nice way to actually show AIDA in action. So yeah. There you go. So actually, okay, while we're here, I'm going to dive into a little project to kind of go through copy that worked for a campaign that we did. So I will play the video. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with Boom, the confidence campaign that came out in 2021. I have a half hand up here. 2, 3. Okay, cool. So kind of got seen. Great. But basically, the whole concept of the campaign was confidence. And what I just wanted to show you is how copy came through in the TVC, in our out of home, in our social media as well, and how it kind of tied everything together to have that impact of this is a, you feel that it's a campaign that's put together, but you also feel the messaging that's trying to come out. So bear with me while I just quickly play the video.
You're not defined by how others see you. You're your own inspiration and a role model. Kulibe angakupoke. Confidence gives you the voice you need to be yourself, to believe in your worth, to tell your own story, and not let anyone else define who you are. Because confidence comes from within. Waona, sikudela kwa vovala kwe kulengesa. Langiza confidence yako na boom. Great throughout the day.
There we go. Great. So I'm sure you noticed that this is one of the few ads that had copy throughout. So we had our voiceover coming through just because we felt that the phrases were so strong. It was kind of to inspire you to not be ashamed of your background or feel like you need to look like others, right? Because you can be confident in who you are. So that was the whole start of the campaign. And then how it came across in Out of Home is we took some of those phrases and we made them into turned them into our billboard. So we had confidence gives you the power to believe in your worth. So we took certain elements from the script that we felt these are really strong standalone that can really emphasize our message. You are not defined by how others see you. And again, we are very, intentional about the scene, the locations that we picked, right? Because, not everybody comes from a beautiful mansion and has, all of these things. And it was like, what is relatable to our everyday person? It's no matter where we come from, we can still be confident. We can still show up no matter the work we do and be confident about it. And you are your own inspiration. No one can take that away from you. So this is really how we drove it on Out of Home. And then on social, we went into confidence as color and really speaking to how everything pops. So we looked at using brighter tones, brighter outfits as well to really make things stand out. And then there was an activation that was done, I believe it was at the agricultural show, and Popo can win. So I'm assuming it was show up, strut, and win something, and it's may the best dressed win to kind of inspire that. And again, we went with boom, selfie confidence and explosive confidence to just kind of show this is how the campaign came across in different channels and how the copy came through. Any questions? You have 5 seconds and then we're closing it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. I'm kidding. Yes.
I do have a question. I want to know what's the process, like from the conception of the copywriting test to the production of something like this.
Okay, so should I speak into just the boom campaign itself?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing, I actually had pointers, I forgot, but I'll say them after this. One thing that the process of how this thing works is you obviously have a brief, right? So the client's gonna come to you and say, I want this done, right? Now it's also your responsibility to make sure you have all the information you need before you proceed. I feel like sometimes, especially when you're starting out and you just want to prove yourself, you're like, yeah, and you just take this half-baked brief and you're like, no, it's fine. And then you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what the objective is. I don't know who they're trying to speak to. They just said a word and I have to go off that, right? So we had to understand, okay, what is the client need? And it was, they wanted to Boom is a national household name. It's been on the market for so many years. It's an institution, right? How are we moving away from a very nostalgic traditional feel to make it feel fresh? And so the whole idea was we want to go with something that builds confidence. And literally the keyword was, something like confidence, something to do with confidence, right? And I was like, okay, cool. We came back with the brief and I'm sitting racking my brains thinking, how am I going to write this script about confidence? They just mentioned this is what it should achieve. And then I started going down a rabbit hole. So this is where even with copywriting, research helps. So when you're not sure of, okay, I need to look at this angle, just start typing the most random things and go down the rabbit holes, because that's actually how I found my direction, which was, what is confidence, right? We talk about confidence so much. What is it? How do we gather it? And how do I connect it to the brand Boom, which is your appearance, right? But then we also didn't want to make it feel like it's superficial. It's just about what you wear, right? And so we went with confidence comes from within. And how are we visually showing that? That's why we had such a contrast of your locations as well as their initial outfits to then what you saw them in at the end, which is, this is how they perceive themselves internally. So it went from building the script and the TBC to then saying, okay, how is this now going to run across multiple channels as a full 360 campaign? So it really did start with the voiceover script before it went into, everything else. I did say I had a few pointers. I'm quickly gonna read them out before we jump into any more questions. But, when I approach copy, my first thing is don't rush into it. And it speaks back to something I mentioned, which is think about whether you fully understand your brand personality. You don't want to mix tones of voices that don't fit with the brand you're speaking to, whether it's your own or it's your clients, right? Next, what exactly are you trying to communicate? Are you evoking an emotion? Are you driving awareness? Are you initiating an action? What is the outcome of the writing that you're putting together? And I think instead of thinking of each piece of copy as isolated, think of it as part of the bigger plan. So like, for example, with this one, we were thinking beyond just a billboard. This is a whole campaign. So does it speak to what my client is trying to drive with this? maybe your client, maybe you're looking at awareness. Does your copy speak into that big objective of yours, even if it's not directly, but does it have that layer or that golden thread that's going through everything? And if not, yeah, I think you need to rethink the approach. And then I think lastly, and I think I mentioned earlier, is write as if you're speaking to a friend first. I think this helps you get down the most core parts of the message, and then from there you refine it to your brand style, whether it's your own personal brand style, a client's, a business, whatever it is, or even just your passion project. But start with writing as if you're trying to describe it to a friend, and then you kind of shape it from there. Yeah. Any other questions for myself or Taonga? So feel free. Yes.
I want to ask you, Taonga.
That's fine.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lusaka. So my question to you is kind of related to what she said on the aspect of where do you get your ideas? Do you get your ideas through research course you emphasize, or in like conducting the research to fully understand what the client wants, the purpose, objectives, and whatnot? So where do you get your ideas? Let's say, for instance, they want to have a campaign about what? Okay, let's go for confidence, right? They want to have a campaign about confidence and all that. How do you like, just the way you incorporated everything, like how did it come to you away from the research aspect?
Myself?
Yeah.
So if you've worked with me, you know that I have problems sitting in my chair. So I will go and I'll talk to everyone in the office. And so I feel like most great ideas that I've come up with have been through conversations with people, right? Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do with your marketing, whether it's a campaign or a standalone piece, is you're trying to relate to actual people. And so the best ideas come from actual people. So what I try and do is, especially when I'm stuck in a rut, or I'm like, okay, I know a general direction, but I don't know where to go with this, I'll either drop it and I'll leave it and then come back and something will open up, or I'll have loads of conversations with people about what does confidence mean to you? Or, this is actually the brief. What comes to mind when you're thinking about it? Because again, everyone perceives things in very different ways. And I think that can be such, it can be such a bonus. It's such a gem to use, especially when you're in an industry where you have a lot of creatives that are, we're very, I think we come together, we help each other out. As Taonga said, she used to share her ideas to see what do you guys think. So I think don't be scared of seeking these collaborations or these kinds of like advice from people. There is a tendency sometimes to be like, no, I'm not going to tell or show people because there's this like, it needs to have been done by me alone for me to claim it. There's no such thing. Even in copy, we're literally just remixing the alphabet, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing starts from scratch. It's always a remix of an existing idea. So I would say don't be afraid of going out there and actually speaking to people, because that's where a lot of some of our greatest ideas have come from. Also, actually, that, and also go down the rabbit hole of watching loads of ads on YouTube. I think I've done that many times. I don't know how many bookmarks I have saved of ads from like 10 years ago, but just, even if it's nothing related to your project or your client, there's a style in there that you might like, or there's a character in there that triggers something. You're like, wow, I didn't think of that. How can I apply it in this way? So definitely go do your research. Look at what others are doing online as well, because as I said, it's not like unless you're directly copying it, then yes, that's you shouldn't do that. But it's a remix, right? So you can get inspiration from other creatives as well. Yeah. Sorry, you had your hand up before. I'll take hers first.
What keystones can you use to make a brand relatable?
Okay. Mapaalo, do you want to take that one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it touches into what Raisa had mentioned earlier. You have to understand who you're talking to first, because your relatability is going to come from what their pain points are.
Exactly.
And what they're dealing with. It's why there's this thing called the customer experience.
Yes.
Or the customer journey.
Correct.
You have to put yourself in their shoes first, and then you will know how to relate. So that's the shortest way I think I can answer the question. The relatability comes from understanding the audience, and then like really understanding them, so that you can understand how to talk to them.
Yeah. In the same way, it's also understanding your customer, also understanding your brand, right? Because you don't want to relate to the audience in a way that's so far left from what your brand personality is. So once you have a really clear understanding of both, it actually makes it very easy to come up with content. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Can we take his before yours?
I'm not asking.
Oh, okay. Do you want to add?
He can still ask, yeah.
Okay.
I just want to
Sure.
add to it. So, like Taonga briefly mentioned, we talk about personal finance. And when you think about it, it's so broad. Like, you could be talking to kids about money, or teenagers, or adults. And then when you think about adults, like, are they very old? Are they in their 20s? Are they in their 30s? In short, you're not going to use the same language to talk about money to the various whatever. So I do have help, like there are people who help me write content once in a while for my groups and the like. And when they do it, nowadays there's AI and I'm just like, think about your sister. Would you speak to your sister like this? That's what I asked them. And they immediately go, no. Like, would you use that word? Like, I pinpoint some of the words. I'm like, you wouldn't say that. Think about it like you were just telling your sister about saving or whatever it is you want to communicate. And when they redo that, I'm like, how do you feel about it? Like yourself when you're reading it, does it feel like someone is talking to you about money? So like even myself, like when I'm creating content, I usually just get the content from the people. Like I pick out the comments, how they are speaking, and I respond in that way, and I see it performs really well when I do that. And it's become easier the more I do it. So I use their language, not mine.
That's a good one. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You have your question over here.
Thank you, Taonga and Raisa, for the presentation. I would like to sort of try to marry the two presentations and ask my question this way. Coming from a background of design, we've talked about how to actually write good copy, but how does one sort of transition? How do you become a good copywriter? Because from a design perspective, copy is given to you. And you just work with what you're given and maybe you move it around, you space it around and things like that. But then we're talking about being consistent online. So I am producing my own work, for example, and I need it to be visible. But I also need to be very intentional in how I communicate that message, where copy now comes in. But how do I transition from this culture of receiving copy and working with it, and now creating my own copy that resonates to the work that I do, and being able to communicate it to the audience intentionally, and being sort of specific to the platforms I'm looking at. Because I'm looking at businesses, like you say, LinkedIn, I need it to be corporate. When I'm on Facebook, I'm talking to my friends and colleagues, I need it to be friendly, approachable, and things like that. Like, how do I still become sort of consistent in my messaging that when someone sees me on Facebook and LinkedIn, they know it's the same person? They don't think I'm a corporate brander this side, then this side I'm just the one who does posters for upcoming musicians. that sort of thing. So I think those are my two questions. How do I transition? How do I transition from being a designer and writing good copy, and how do I remain consistent across the platforms? Thank you.
Okay. I think what I would say to that is, it's kind of similar to what Taonga mentioned before, that your different target audiences are on different platforms, right? And they are the norms of how writing is done on LinkedIn and how it's done on Instagram or on TikTok, for example. So you already have these kind of undefined standards for each platform. And the way you keep it consistent is, again, it's through the core message, right? It's not the fluff you build around it, like, hey guys, today I want to talk about, no, it's what are you talking about, right? So let's say let's say you're going to talk about brand identity, and that's your topic. On LinkedIn, you're going to talk about the same thing, and maybe you're going to give a case study to show client success, right? On Instagram, because you're now more creative and your target audience are, in the space of maybe other creatives are watching you and you kind of want to show your friends and your followers, you're still talking about brand identity and you're saying, here's how I built this brand identity. And this was what the success was, right? And you've got that post going on. And on Facebook, again, it's a little bit more informal because it's, it's more family, it's more friends. You're still talking about brand identity, but it's now in the tone that you'd use to talk to your brother. So I would say that the golden thread is make sure that the core of what your messages or what you're communicating is the same. The fluff around it or how you dress it up for each platform, that can change. And I think, again, stay true to how you would naturally speak in those environments, because I think at the same time, even in real life scenarios, if you walk into a bank or in a corporate space, there's a certain style of way you're going to talk to somebody, correct? Whereas if you're at a gathering with friends, it's very different. And now when you're with family, it's very different. So I would say, think about your platforms in the same manner, that if I walk into this room with this client, how am I telling them about my brand identity work, and that is your LinkedIn copy. If I'm with friends or other creatives, like in this environment, how am I speaking to them about the work that I've done? That's Instagram. If I'm at home and I'm showing off about, oh my God, guys, I just made 50,000 kwacha because I did this. How are you speaking to your family about it? And that's Facebook. So I wouldn't even say that changing up your tone is not true to yourself, because we do change depending on the situations we're in, and that's very similar to your platforms. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You're looking a little bit confused.
No.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
The other part on how to transition, how does someone become sort of a good copywriter from a design background?
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah,
What did Taonga
practice.
say at the beginning? She's like, don't wait for the perfect moment. Did I come into this industry thinking I was going to be a copywriter? No. I started working at Giraffe as a production manager, right? So productions only, logistics, budgeting. Never did I think I was going to end up being a copywriter, but it helped that I had a background in journalism. But then there was just this assumption that you did journalism, so you can write. I was like, okay, I don't know how we got to that conclusion, but here we are. So I would really say it's practice. I mean, there's a phrase we use in the office, which is kill your baby, which is like when you have a great idea and it doesn't work and you got to kill it. I had to kill so many babies my first few years because, I was writing for so many different kinds of audiences. I was writing with like my UK friends in mind. I've seen an ad in South Africa. I'm like, oh, let's do that. Forgetting that, no, it's for local context. But you have to just keep practicing and practicing. And again, reach out to others in the field to say, hey guys, what do you think about this? Can you give me some advice? Try testing your copy as well. If you have two styles, show them to somebody and say, which one do you think would work best for this? That's actually sometimes what I do. I'll have two scripts and I'll say, right, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And then we go from there. So I think just as Taonga said, just don't wait to dive in, just start writing and keep going. Yeah. With a hat? Dickens after.
I just wanted to contribute to that from a designer's perspective.
Sure.
I think he's already got the leg up because he said that he receives copy all the time from whatever work that he does. So he's already exposed to that. So he just needs to build the inquisitive nature of understanding what that copy means. In fact, the copy should inform your art direction anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of looking at it from a design hat, understand what exactly the copy is in the messaging away from the visual, and then start building upon what is already served to you within your day-to-day, whether it's corporate or client-based work, and then build from there.
Thank you. That was really good.
Yeah.
Dickens?
Yeah. So I was just going to say that I think not everyone is not everyone has got the strength in copywriting, right? So I think it starts with identifying what your strengths are. So if you identify that you don't have the strength to generate copy, you try and find an individual who's got strength in that and try and collaborate. So you focus on the visual aspect of things and they come in with the copy. But if you are someone who feels you've got the strength, I think it starts with interest. So you just look at people that have gone ahead of you, create ads and stuff, and draw inspiration from that. See how they phrase their copies, how precise they are. Study the art of it. Like how do they really create punchy copy, and then from there you will notice patterns. So you can come up with your own framework, and then just put in whatever you feel will resonate with your audience, and then build your own framework from there.
Yeah, I think Dickens makes a good point about like research, I think with any kind of creative work you do, even with copy, research and reading. So if you're writing copy, let's say it's long form articles around a specific topic, go and read as many as you can. And then that kind of, you already will start to notice like 6 or 7 articles in on certain patterns and trends. And like your subconscious will pick up on that. But you just have to be very active in how you're reading these things so that you're able to pick them out instantly instead of waiting like 3 years down the line, like, oh, now I get it. Yeah. Question over there. Hello.
Thank you very much.
You're
My name
welcome.
is Geoffrey Lusaka. I would like to speak from a design perspective. There are situations where you submit a design and because of that client interaction you have, you end up having a very pathetic output. So now, does this happen as well in copy, where you're trying to strike a balance between something that's actually going to work and then the client, because certain demographics differ. And you know how Zambians are. I would like to say, well, like 5 years afterwards. So how do you handle such situations? Because of that interaction, your copy gets compromised to the level where it's unsatisfactory. How do you handle such situations?
Okay, that's actually a very interesting question. How many times has that happened? Too many. But I think, one of the first things that you realize when you submit copy to a client, or there's something with the copy that they query, is either they don't see your vision, so you have to fully explain your approach and why you think works best. So I always try to rationalize as much as I can in the beginning to say, this is the approach we're going to take because of this and because we think this. And then we go that route. And if they're still adamant that no, this is not going to work, we can say, we usually are like, okay, let's do a sample of what that would look like. And then we can either test it with people we know or like people even in their offices to say, what do you guys think? But then I think sometimes, and unfortunately this does happen, especially in Zambia, the client just wants what they want, right? And so I think I would always kind of just say, look, I would not recommend it. The route you want to take, I would not recommend. But if you really want this, we can go ahead and do it. But our first response is not just to give you what you want. It's to come up with a solution that we think is going to work. And if you feel that, some clients are just really pig-headed and they're like, I know what I want. I'm the expert. I've not done marketing, but I know everything about marketing. And you're just like, okay, tie the donkey. If this is what they really want and you've gone through 2 or 3 reverts and it's like they just feel that this is going to work for them, I'm always like, that's fine. We wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend it for these reasons, but we'll try maybe in other spaces to use the copy we wanted, and then this can go out on one platform. Or we'll maybe shift it to say, okay, if you wanted this on a billboard, actually, we think this might work well on Facebook, and it's one post, because then you can hide it with 20 others. And so sometimes it's also just reframing how you use it, because as long as you make them think that they're, definitely listen to them, take in their suggestions, because you don't also want to alienate your client by saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the expert here, right? They're still, sorry? They don't. Yes, but you have to make it think like it's their idea, right? So that's the game you have to play. So it really is just one of those things where you try your best, and at the end of the day, if they want what they want, that's what they're gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe just a little add to what you added. Like, for example, and I know this has happened to me and probably a lot of the others here, where a client will come and say, hey, this was a script for a 30-second ad. Take it as it is and make it a billboard. And you try, you explain, you're like, no, and then they give you the whole speech you gave me. This is my company, this is me, Just, so maybe give us, you don't have to mention the company, give us a scenario where you sort of got over it.
Okay, I'm actually trying to think. I think if ever it's happened, because nothing's coming to mind right now, my guess is that the way we approached it was to say, okay, if this is how you want to go, we're not going to force the ideas to match, right? So if this is what you want to achieve and this is how you want to say it, and this is what we propose, there's only so far you can take with trying to force things in, right? So we'll say, okay, that's fine. Let's keep this idea for another time. Let's rethink. So then we'll go back to square one and say, okay, if this is clearly what they want, because sometimes you'll get a client that will give you a brief, and then 2 weeks later when they see what you've done, another idea comes up like, actually, I think let's go a completely different direction. And at that point, you're like, oh, I just want to close this thing, right? And you're like, sure. I think what we then do is kind of reframe and then just say, okay, instead of trying to force something to work that, we're now just chopping and changing and it's really looking like Frankenstein, let's start from square one and see if we can actually get what the client wants, but still give our input into what we think is going to work best. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So my name is...
Last question. Yeah?
My name is Patience. So I have a question concerning branding. Currently, I'm running an NGO called Thrive Empowerment Organization, and I'm also working in a marketing firm. So I'm very passionate about advocacy and marketing because I'm a mass communicator by profession. So how can I mix the two without separating them? Because I'm like really passionate about
That's yours.
So how can you mix marketing and I think maybe through storytelling, like tell stories through your advocacy, and that's how you tie in the marketing. Storytelling is your key.
I think not just storytelling, but especially when you want to drive the work that you do, its impact, right? Mm. So yes, you're talking about storytelling and this is what we do, but it's also, you need to show that there is an impact for people to believe in it, right? So you're showing the on the ground change of this is what we do and this is how we've changed lives over the years. If you want to be involved, and then you also like encouraging people, you're inviting them to be part of that, right? Because you don't just want the followers, right? You want people to engage with and say, I want to try and be part of this, even if it's a volunteer, even if it's just donations, even if it's just there's an event, I show up. So how are you also inviting the public to say, be part of the change or be part of this movement that's making life better for these individuals? So kind of make it personal in that way, because a lot of times, especially when it comes to, it's very difficult, especially when it comes to NGO kind of work or social impact, right? A lot of people don't get that personal satisfaction. It's not like I can buy the product, drink it, and I'm satisfied. How do they get satisfaction from this? So you're appealing to the emotional, and you're saying, because you're a good person, you want to be part of this because we're changing lives. So you can leave a legacy in that way. Yeah. You're welcome. Thanks, guys. I think Marka's gonna kick us off this right now. But thank you so much. We will be available at the end. Over to Mapaalo.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Raisa and Taonga for the presentation. I've learned a lot myself, especially on my bio. I need to work on my bio. Yeah. So. Yeah, I need to work on my bio as well. Yeah. So standing out online is really important. I think that's what has also helped me to, well, at least to be at this point, at least, like even the job. Well, my former boss is here, but but you're not supposed to be here. Yeah. So it was all about showing your work. Sometimes it's hard to have connections. People talk about having connections, but now connections are online. So make those connections online, and you can only make those connections when you do what? When you show your work. So that's really important, and also consistency is very key. When I started creating videos, it was really tedious, just creating one video. But now I eventually came up with a system where I'm able to make content every week. Like for the podcast has now been running for 15 weeks for now. Yeah, so yeah. So thank you. So it's all through trial and error, you see. So when I started out, I would make like a 1-minute video and it really take a toll on me, just making one video. But after learning, trying different things, I came up with a system where I'm able to produce an episode each week. Or it has been hectic and all that, but come up with a system that will be able to help you to be very consistent. Are you posting every week? Are you posting 2 times a week? So make sure you do that. So connections, you don't have to always have physical connections or your uncle who knows someone. These days, the world is very easy. You can always, you can always post something online and many people will be able to see you. So the moment all of us have also been waiting for, boosting creativity with AI. Of course, we're going to get practical. You can just tell from the from the cover. This is going to be something very hot. Yeah. So, okay. Mapaalo, I'll leave it to you, my guy.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Hi, everyone.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment to break the fourth wall here. So I know we're all creatives here. We're not very comfortable speaking in crowds, so that's what the nerves are. They'll walk away soon as I get comfortable standing up here. So I'm going to use Taonga's exercise to introduce myself a little bit because my bio actually sounds really cool now. So my name is Mapaalo Musonda, and I help brands, creators, and organizations tell bold, memorable stories by blending strategic design, production, and influencer partnerships that actually move people. With nearly a decade of experience, I specialize in turning creative chaos into visual clarity, whether it's through guerrilla marketing, content that goes viral, or building systems that scale. So that's that system at work. So I couldn't have made this bio without the help of the conversation that we're about to have just now. And I want to preface this. Is this on? I do what?
You have to start all over from the beginning now.
Let's go.
Including the nerves.
Okay, including the nerves. No, let's just. So I couldn't have been able to pull this off without the help of this thing that we're about to talk about and its impact. So I'm sure a few of you may have seen the clip where it was CES 2024 in a nutshell, and we're just AI, with innovations in AI. We now have an agent in AI. And we're getting bombarded with so many things about AI, and I'm just trying to bring a bit of clarity to the conversation about what is it, how will it help you, and how are you going to benefit, how are you going to maximize the most from it. I'm not going to try and get into the ethics of it because I don't have all the answers. I don't know how best to honor the work of the people before who have contributed to this tool reaching where it is now in a way that enables me to still become the person that I want to be. So we'll get into it and it'll be fun. So let's just begin. So I've already introduced myself. That's just a bit of the work that I've done using AI. A few of you may recognize the Rob artwork that I did for Bobby East last year. It was a very interesting piece. It was the first time I did something like on a commercial scale at that level with AI. In a nutshell, what we have here is actually a collage of who I am as a person, what I'm interested in, what I think about, and stuff like that. I do care much about the environment. I'm constantly thinking about the effects of time on all of us. And there's a side as a man of me that's feminine that I want to constantly find out why I'm so enticed by that. So my journey has been, like I said, I've nearly a decade of experience in the field. I've worked on some of the biggest brands in the country, including Pepsi, which was my first job actually. High stakes, high pressure, was brutal. I've done work for ProFlight, Zanaco. That was another high stakes scenario. We helped bring that brand we helped refresh that brand by taking it from the old logo to the new logo with a campaign called Kula. You may have seen it on some of the billboards. I also more recently did some work with ABSA. I think the only banks I haven't worked with in this country are UBA and maybe Indo. But I've done a lot of work with banks. I've also done some work with Yango. If you go to their page, you will see me shirtless running around in a Ngoni outfit. I've done work with Stanbic, Mosi, MultiChoice, and Prudential. That's just a little snapshot of the work that I've done. So let's talk about AI by going back in time. Some of you may be familiar with the work of Johannes Vermeer. It's the picture of the woman with a yellow thing and she's looking at you like that. So I don't even have to show you the picture, you recognize it. In the year 2000, there was a book that came out by David Hockney and a physicist called Charles Foucault, and they had discovered something crazy. They were like, we've noticed that there's this little piece of tech that was being used in the Renaissance era to get an image and project it on a wall so that someone can trace over it and then brings these realistic paintings to life. And this was a very controversial book when it came out because it sort of cast a shadow of doubt on the authenticity of the artworks that were done in the Renaissance era. Show of hands, who here thinks that Renaissance art isn't authentic? Exactly. That's where we all reference as designers, as creatives. It's something we all look back to say, hey, Renaissance era stuff, if I can do something like that, then I've made it. But this book cast that light because of that piece of technology that would project that, and it almost ignored the hours of work that went into it, the understanding of how to mix paints that went into it to make all of those things become possible. Whether or not the camera obscura, that's the name of the device, it was called a camera obscura, whether or not they used it does not negate the effort and the technicalities that have to go into it to make something. And that's going to be the crux of my entire presentation here, is you are at the center of this machine, this tool, this innovation that has come through. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. We do know that AI was trained on all of our data. And in a way, it belongs to all of us. However, the companies that put in the work of using all of our data to create these things also want to get some of their money back, and that's why they're putting it behind paywalls. And that's the big discussion that's happening, is they used our data to train this thing, so it belongs to us in a way, because we've all contributed to it. I do understand the ethical gray area that creates, and like I said earlier, it's not something that I have all the answers to, but I do believe that putting this very amazing tool behind a paywall when it was trained on things that all of us contributed to is a bit of a problem. But I won't get fully into that. I will talk about what AI is, what the big myth is in creativity. Most people think that AI kills creativity outright. You know, you're just typing in words and phrases and it spits out an image. What did you do? You didn't really think about it. You didn't really put in a lot of work. And how I'd like to shift your perspective today is by telling you that AI, yes, it can kill creativity, but what it's for is to kill creative block. And when you look at it that way, you start to see what AI actually is for, because a lot of people want to get to the finished product by, through, and with AI, but you're forgetting to put yourself at the center of the machine. You're not going to just, like, we're not yet at that point where you can get into a car and it drives you where you need to go. And that's where we are with AI as well. It has all of human knowledge, but you need to guide it to get what you want out of it. So why should you care about AI? Just so that I can understand a bit of the lay of the room. How many of us here are identifying our professions as creatives? Okay, so that's a lot of you. How many of us are business owners just looking for a way to scale up and just get some stuff done? Great, great. So I'll speak to, because of the audience that I'm speaking with, I will touch on both just slightly. I will speak a lot on the creative side, but I will touch on the business side as well. Why you should care about AI is what it allows you to do is, like I've said, it kills creative block. So you are able to iterate and explore ideas, because the hardest part about any campaign is the thought process of getting to that good idea. How do I finally land that good idea? There was a question that was asked earlier about how do you, what's the process of getting to a good idea? And like all ideas, it starts with what it is that you want to do and where you want to take it. So the fastest aspect of it, where you're iterating quickly, allows you to quickly know which ideas are worth pursuing and which ones are duds. And we all deal with duds as we're like creating and making the stuff that we're making. So you need to see AI not as a replacement. You need to look at it like a microphone. Like if I was using a microphone here, it's not that it's going to make my voice sound any better. It's not going to make my points more impactful. It's not going to put together the presentation or the thought process or even cover up for the moments where I forget what I'm saying to make sure that you're still following the thought that I'm making. What the microphone is doing is just making my voice be heard. And what AI does is it does that for your brain. So whatever is up here is what it's going to amplify. If you're a bad copywriter, in your copywriting, it will amplify it. If you're a bad designer, your design fundamentals, you still have to know the fundamentals. So because you don't have those fundamentals, it will amplify the fact that you don't know those fundamentals. And why you should care about it is, I was explaining this to Taonga earlier, is what AI does, instead of replacing you, is it replaces your dependency on having a lot of other people. And we need to start looking at it in terms of not me as a designer where I sit in an agency. Is it coming for my job? No, it's you as an individual, as a brand, with what you care about. How can you reduce the dependency on others to make that thing happen? Because a lot of us are good designers, but our copy is not as great. And if you learn a bit of the fundamentals of copy, you could become a great copywriter with AI. And that's what it does, is it, with that amplification aspect of it, is everything you know, it amplifies. Everything you don't know, it also amplifies. So I'll just touch on this quote where we're no longer working alone, we're standing on the shoulders of humanity's collective work. And some may think it's cheating, but I look at it as leveraging the future. Because like Raisa said, we're constantly remixing. And what AI has done, like if let's remove how it was created from the thing. And I know that's a big ask. And I'm not saying that we ignore it and say that doesn't matter. What I'm just saying is, as a tool, when you look at it, what it does is it has taken all of human knowledge, all the collective work. Imagine at your fingertips, you have like everything Alexander the Great ever thought of. You have everything that even Putin. You can get you can get access to Russian books through ChatGPT. You can ask what Dostoevsky's book is about, and it will give you a nice summary. So you have that at the tip of your fingertips, and it feels to me like in the conversations that are happening online around AI, like we're arguing about whether we should use the tool, not how we can be using the tool to better ourselves. So I've already touched a little bit on how AI supercharges creativity, but I just want to give you a few examples. There was a conversation around album art for artists and it being one of the industries that doesn't really pay very well. And I want to use that because I had not prepared this example before this, but I want to use that as an example of how you can use AI to supercharge your creativity. So let's pretend you're Young Mbuzi, okay? Rapper from Kanyama, and you're very good at your craft of like putting together bars, and you're lucky enough to have a studio that allows you to record every weekend. And so you have a bit of a collection of work and you're about to put it out. You're about to be seen. You've listened to Taonga's talk and you now know you need to be visible online. You've got your bio ready. But what's the most important thing that a musician needs to show off their music? Do we have any guesses? Huh? What's that? Your bar. But outside of the bar. When you go to Spotify, when you're scrolling through and you're about to select a song, what's the thing that you see? Album art. So album art, in the way that we currently exist, needs Young Mbuzi to talk to a homie who's a photographer. They have to come up with a concept. And if that concept is too out of the world, it's too expensive for Young Mbuzi. Now remember, he's been recording his music from a studio they just have a free slot on Friday between the hours of 02 and 03. And that's the one he's just like, I'll be there. So he doesn't have any money, right? And he wants to put together this album art, but he needs a photographer. And again, follow the logic. I do understand that there's the whole conversation of replacement, but I want you to look at it in terms of Young Mbuzi and what he needs to be seen. Because currently, if he can't afford the photographer, he cannot get the photo done. Therefore, his work cannot be seen. Are we saying that his work does not deserve to be seen online? I don't think so. So what AI then comes in to step in to do is help him generate something that he can use to show off his thinking and his work. Something that doesn't have the compromise of, no, I didn't have the money, so I couldn't put myself on the moon. My idea was Young Mbuzi. I wanted to put a goat on a lunar crater with like stars in the background and the Zambian flag by it. But I don't have the money, I don't know how to use Photoshop, but I have good ideas. And that's the thing that I love about AI, and the thing that what makes me an AI evangelist is, for those with the ideas, AI is going to change your life. So just to read through the points so that I make sure I don't miss on any of them, what it allows him to do is he gets faster iterations. So he can generate 50 pictures of a goat on the moon by the time he's done having his lunch. He can scale, he can do a lot more with less. Now that he's got this tool, he can actually put a goat on the moon instead of just go and then snap a picture of the goat with his phone. He's able to dream bigger and think bolder in terms of his execution. And one day, Young Mbuzi is going to have money and you'll be able to afford a photographer. Ideally, the way this should work is, now that he's built the empire, he can employ some people to then now do the actual work. You can explore wild ideas. Like the idea of a goat on the moon is something that is it's a bit out of left field, especially if it's a rapper from Kanyama. That's insane. But it allows you to do that. And the collaborative aspect of AI is you're not collaborating with just the machine. Remember, the source of the machine is all of human knowledge. You're collaborating with Alexander the Great. You're collaborating with Sigmund Freud. You're collaborating with Darwin, with Sir Isaac Newton, with Einstein. All of those people exist. You could literally go into ChatGPT right now and say, pretend you're Einstein and be that person for the rest of this conversation. And it will do its best to mimic Einstein. So it's about that collaboration that you can then be able to iterate on your ideas, even from a different perspective. If you were, for instance, you're struggling designer and you're trying to come up with copy, you can tell it, I want you to pretend to be the greatest copywriter in the world. And this is the campaign, this is the idea I have. Write some copy for it. And again, you still need to know the fundamentals. I'm not saying just go in there and just start typing willy-nilly. Remember, it's still going to amplify the lack of experience that you have. So learn the basics, know the fundamentals, or at the very least, feed it the fundamentals of copywriting, of whatnot. The way I came up with my bio was I got the formula that Taonga put up there and said, using this formula, write me a bio. And that sounded impressive, right? The bio that I read out earlier. Exactly. So that's going back to the crux of the conversation. AI is only as good as the creativity you bring to it. Whatever you bring to it is what it mirrors. It's like a spouse. They mirror you back to you, and whether you like what you see or not, it's on you. So because this is the Duwit Experience, it's time to get into the practical of doing something. So he had no idea. By the way, he had no idea. So 3 weeks ago when Mwaka asked me to do this presentation, I had so many ideas that I wanted to pursue. But I don't know if it's like the pressure or what, but I just couldn't land on something that felt like it would share the aspect that I'm trying to communicate here until I think I had generated a bunch of stuff, and late, like somewhere around 16, 17 yesterday, I was like, hold on. I saw one of his posts and I was like, I've got it. So the backstory is Lawrence Kumwenda is a fellow creative and a good friend of mine, and he's a very funny person. I like his energy online. It's very absurd, very playful, very chaotic, and it's the kind of realm that I also like to exist in creatively. And he's been posting content around something, this spoof energy drink that he invented. In fact, it's not just an energy drink, it's holy water, it's cooking oil, it's everything. He calls it Creative Oil, and it is spelled with a K-I-L-I-Y-E-T-I-V-U, Creative Oil. And when I saw that, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. This is going to be the fastest thing I can do. So the tools that I used are some tools that I would like to share with some of you in case you don't know what some of these tools are. We're all familiar with ChatGPT, right? The GOAT, the legend. They now have added image generation and video generation to their repertoire with Sora. Then there's Google Image FX. I don't know how many are aware of this one, but I love this image generation AI because it has very good results and it's free. And we all have a Gmail account in here, so you have access to it right now if you just go to Google and say Image FX. I'm going to talk about FreePic, which as a designer I know I have no business talking about. But the reality is, we should not let our egos stop us from embracing innovation. So FreePic, yes, it was the joke website 5 years ago, but they've added so many tools that if you're not watching it, you'll be surprised at how the kids will be absolutely running laps around you. So FreePic has pretty much everything. For anyone who doesn't want to learn all of the other ones, honestly, just that alone will get you across the way because it has image generation, it has video generation, it has speech synthesis, and I think it can generate tracks. I'm not sure if it does that. But speaking of generating tracks, that's what Suno does. To generate an entire song for you, you can either just tell it, I want a song about fritters. and it will write for you, or you can type in the lyrics yourself, tell it the exact kind of vibe you're going for, and iterate. And all of this happens within seconds. So, yes, there are a lot of people that are afraid because of how quickly all of this thing does, but when you look at yourself as the brand, this is your team. This is who's going to help you get whatever you care about to the people that you want to hear it. And when you look at it like that, it becomes more empowering because you're not just thinking, am I getting replaced? You might be scared about getting replaced because maybe you're not as good a designer as you are an engineer. Maybe you're not as good a copywriter as you are a salesperson or a vlogger or an influencer. What AI is going to force us to do is look within ourselves and say, what do I care about and what do I want to focus on? And if you can ask yourself that question and allow your team to help you bring your vision to life, you'll be shocked at how much you'll be able to achieve in a short time. So in the beginning was the word. And the word was, I have no idea how I'm going to wow the audience at the presentation I have tomorrow. And DeepSeek, I was using DeepSeek and ChatGPT. DeepSeek is like ChatGPT. I think because it's been trained by Chinese people, it has a very more logical thing. And the thing is, AI reflects our biases back to us. It's something I touched on the Duwit Podcast. Watch the episode on M. Souza's channel? Mwaka Souza's channel. Watch the episode. I did touch on that, in that it reflects back to us everything that we've given it. So it also has our biases. So I like DeepSeek as a counter to ChatGPT. And if you follow the process, you will notice that I'm not just leaning on one piece of AI, because that's the thing that people are afraid of. That's the thing that people don't want you doing, is you just go to one AI without asking it questions, without prompting, without really challenging what's coming out. You just put in and get the exact thing. If that's what you're doing, then yes, of course it's killing creativity. But what I'm trying to do is change perspectives here. So I was using ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and you will notice some of the prompts that I put there. The big one, this one right here, is literally the prompt that built this presentation together. I started with just asking it. I'm giving a talk on the 5th of April about how to boost your creativity with AI. What are some of the things people need to know about AI? And as you can see, I'm also telling it what gaps I have. When you look at it as a partnership between you and the machine, it becomes a much more beautiful thing to witness as you create this thing, because you're telling it the gaps you have and it's filling them in for you while leveraging your strengths to communicate what you want to communicate. And I got a little bit drunk with power because I just went ham with this thing. So then it came time to generate some images. There was this slide that I wanted to get rid of, but take your pictures right there. This is one of the, and this is not the way. This is one of the ways, and this is the way that works the best for me. This prompting formula here, you put this in any text AI to help you come up with the prompts, because everything has to be studied, including how to come up with the images. There's rules to everything, but you don't want to have to learn all of them, because that's what this thing is doing. You really need to start thinking of yourself like a cyborg, and this thing is just like a chip implanted on the side of your brain, and you're asking it questions about stuff that's going on in your life. So I gave it the formula and said, with this formula, I want you to now come up with images. And in a very short time, I was able to quickly figure out what shots were working, what shots weren't working, what story I could tell, how to build the whole thing together. And despite having that many, and this is not all the prompts that I use, this is just maybe 0.05%. I spent like I said, it's been 3 weeks. I've been prompting many ideas at it, and not all of them were bangers until I got onto the creative oil gig, okay? So I was able to quickly figure out where I wanted to go because I had the speed of AI constantly do you know how much you'd have to put together to get a storyboard and then say, yeah, I don't like that shot, I need to go back. Under normal circumstances, you're either drawing that thing or you're taking photos. And taking photos is taking up the camera. Is it charged? Do you have batteries? Going to the spot, taking a picture, loading it into your Lightroom, editing the picture, putting it into your storyboard. If you didn't even want to edit it, you still have to put it in your storyboard, like manually, and like put it there. And if it doesn't work, you have to do that all over again. But with this, I want you to imagine Creative Oil was an actual brand that I was pitching to. And this process was me putting together the spec ad that would then lead to the actual ad. Because I do not support the use of AI to replace people. And that's something I want to make very clear. Is I do not support the process of AI to replace people. I support the process of using AI to support your gaps. So you're not using it to replace people, you're covering up, you're learning what your gaps are and you're filling them in. And if you use it properly, you will become a better copywriter, you will become a better leader, you will become a better at whatever it is you want to be better at. And that's because at the center of the machine is you. So I think I can now show the clip of the ad. I haven't, video editors and whatnot, please forgive me, okay? I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, so there's going to be things you notice. But what you're about to watch is basically a spec ad I made for Creative Oil, remembering that this is a miraculous juice that, flips a creative block into a creative win, which is what I believe AI can do for you. AI is the creative oil. So let's have a look at this thing. So that was the spec ad. I wanted to capture a moment of frustration that a lot of us deal with, where the briefs are coming in, the emails are coming in, and nobody seems to want to give you a moment to just thingy. So take a sip of creative oil, and you'll be chilled. So to just go back to the main point that I still want to really hammer home, it's not magic. What I created there was not just type in and get out. There are folders of videos that didn't make it into the cut. There's an entire aspect of this ad that exists out there that I wasn't happy with. And because I wasn't happy with it, that's not the ad you saw. And it really goes back to that. You have to remember that you are at the center of this thing, and that what you're putting in is what you're getting out. And there's a lot, you still have to put in a lot of effort. You still have to, just like the painters of old, you still have to mix the paints. You still have to know how to draw. You still have to know how to copyright. You still have to know what good design looks like. You need to know what a good advert sounds like. You need to know how to piece together what works and everything. So these are some of the hopes that I have for AI in the future, because it's one thing to talk about the doom and gloom of AI right now and to say I don't have all the answers without telling you what I hope to come out of AI. My belief is that the combination of human design with AI will lead to more things that are human instead of the opposite, because the fear is that with more AI, we're going to get more AI slop on the internet because all accounts will be just fake AI bots talking to you. But what I'm hoping for is one where it's more people being more authentic to themselves, because AI is allowing them to pursue everything that they want to pursue and to communicate with the people they want to communicate in ways they want to communicate with them. I see AI as allowing people to think a lot more creatively because you can make and break as many things as you want in the process of iterating with AI without having to really commit them to real life. And I think that will create new ways of thinking. Like, for instance, an eco-friendly bus stop that's made from thatched grass. How can we make that happen? It's an answer that it can take us a lot of years to finally get to the point, but only someone who understands actual, like, architectural design, materials, and how to put everything together. Only that person can put it together. And without that team, someone who has this idea can work with AI by asking it to be those things that it doesn't know and then present that idea to people who then can help them achieve that thing. And that's something that I see as well. And to put it more romantically, I feel like with everything that we do, we create universes. The power that we have as creatives is one of endless capabilities. We can dream up a mermaid delivering a postcard to someone underwater. Yeah? Yeah?
We get it.
It's about those realities that we create with our minds that we finally, from my perspective, and this is just me, I feel like we finally have the thing that can enable us to explore these universes that we constantly create, because as you're walking about, there's something you're thinking about that is very interesting to someone out there, and you just don't know how to get it done. It could be a book, it could be a cartoon, it could be a comic book, it could be whatever it is that you want it to be. Use AI to begin that process so that you can then find the right collaborators who can take it further. Like in that ad, as much as I'm pushing it as, AI to boost your creativity, that ad wasn't 100% AI. All of the songs I generated using Suno, and I'm not saying that Suno is a bad tool, it's that as a composer, I'm not that good at creating tone. I don't have the language to prompt AI to come up with a score that feels like what I wanted. But there's a human being who exists whose music I already enjoy called Lido, and that's the flourish you heard in the ad. You still have to have that human element to sort of add that impact to it. And so I feel like if a composer uses Suno, they would have been able to create a better score for me. But because I'm not as good of a composer or a scorer, I don't know the terms, phrases for notes and whatnot, I couldn't prompt it well enough within the time that I had. So even with AI, you can still fail. And that's what I'm trying to point out. To wrap up everything, AI won't replace you, but a creative who uses AI might. A designer who isn't using GenFill to fill up space or expand their scenes is taking a lot longer to get the same scene to their client as one who is. Of those two, you want to be the one who's getting work done to their client faster. The choice is yours. Just like the camera Lucida or the camera Obscura didn't replace artists because they used it, but we still know Johannes Vermeer. We still know Da Vinci, who was obsessed with this thing, by the way. We still know all these people. It didn't replace them. It enabled them to do what they were supposed to do, and we now call it the Renaissance. Let's not repeat history by fearing the tool. Let's make history by using it wisely. The future is ours to shape. Thank you for your time. Oh, I can keep it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. If you have any questions, fire at the man.
Okay, let's start with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam, for that amazing presentation. Definitely something that is useful, I think, to all creators that are here. So my question was, you have presented on AI.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to you, I presume most of the creatives here are not
a master of one.
Exactly. So there are videographers,
Mm-hmm.
graphic designers, animators, and the likes. So for you, who does all that, what are the top creative tools that you feel are worth being paid for? Because we all like the free stuff, but what are those things you should prioritize? So, okay, if you have limited amount of cash and you want to go for the pro version of an AI tool, if you're a videographer, which is the topmost you should go for? If you're a graphic designer, which is the topmost?
Good question.
A copywriter, which is the topmost you should go for? An animator, what is the top AI tool you should go for in the pro version? Because you can't manage to go pro for all of them.
Sure.
Which one should you prioritize?
Okay, so I want to answer your question in two ways. First of all, not to put you on the spot, but you are missing the point in that you're still looking for what tools do I need to get more creative or to get more out of this. It's still you. So the first one to then now answer your question is, as you go about looking for these tools, you need to understand what it is that they can do, what their limitations are, and how far they can go. And I've done as best in terms of my research for what works for me. And I'll say a paid tool that you think you should be paying for that you probably shouldn't is Midjourney. I know they're improving, they've added a lot of like new features and whatnot, but in terms of actual text to image, like similarities where you type in something and what comes out is similar to what you typed, I've found a lot of challenges with Midjourney. But to go back to the point of, you have to also think about the workarounds with those limitations, is you then ask ChatGPT, which has a free version and a paid version. I'd say for starters, if you're going to just ask for one pro thingy, then pay for ChatGPT, because you can then use that to unlock all of the other free tools to maximize on how to use them. So I'll give you an example, like for videographers, one would probably say use Kling AI to generate videos. But the truth is, video generation is not yet at that point where you can just type in something and it comes out like proper. Sora is doing a good job at that, but there's still little issues. So the fastest way that I've seen to get videos like the ones that you saw is to generate an image first and then feed that image into the video generator, because now the video generator is working with both text and image to then churn out a video. So I would say start with ChatGPT as your pro, and then you can look into the other ones. The ones I've listed here all have free and paid versions, but ideally what you want to be doing is optimizing the one that operates as your hub, and then having that tell you how to maximize the other ones.
Yeah, and just in addition to that, I think it also depends with what you're doing, because again, it's a personal what you're doing with that. For example, do you want to pay for something that will not maybe reap money out of that? For example, if you're going to use the paid version of ChatGPT, is the client going to pay you? Do you have the money? Is it going to produce money out of that? That is also going to support you at the end of the day. Because sometimes I also have like some projects where I need a particular tool. So if they give me enough money to work on that project, I'll pay for a particular tool because I need something from there. But I think overall, ChatGPT is the best place to start. You can also use Gemini. They're also improving on that. Google Gemini.
I really hate Gemini.
Some things.
The thing is, I've used ChatGPT. I've used Gemini. I've used DeepSeek. I've used Quen. I'm not being a Xi Jinping shill here, but China has a really good model to work with both Quen and DeepSeek. It's just that there's certain things, because we are more Western exposed, you'll find ChatGPT helps you get to that answer a lot better, because we grew up on American TV listening to American people, and so you use ChatGPT for that. But like he said, it's all about what you want to do, and that you'll find the tool, and you really have to put in the work of also understanding the tool that you're using.
Yeah, so find what works for you. There's many different things out there. Yeah. And is it worth paying for? Yeah. Next question.
Okay. Then we'll go to that side after that.
Okay. Mine is not a question, but a contribution to what you said. So I'm sure we are all creatives here, and a piece of advice: yes, history is always repeating itself. From the evolution of art, from Da Vinci, up to now. We had people that told Vincent Van Gogh that his art wasn't good enough because they were used in a certain ecosystem. So as a creative, create ideas that will shake systems. So because to create, we are coming up with something that is not part of the system already. And do not think of what will society think of me, what will they think of my idea, because this is not what it has always been like in the case of AI. Rather, be aware that there's no real society but individuals who are intimidated by your power and your potential. So foster for believing in yourself, and also know that there is no real culture. Right now they're telling us that this is not the real culture. Back in the 2000s, the people that were there, they were like, this is not the culture. In the 1600s, this is not the culture. So let's just be ourselves and embrace the creativity that is in us so that we can create a society that will be welcoming to other individuals and not foster for negativity or no, this is the system. Yes, that's thank you.
Thank you. I think there was someone.
Oh yeah, that side, yeah.
In this gifts,
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, so far I'm trying to put AI in my work. So far what I do with AI is generating the images, which is image effects.
Yeah.
It does a good job. And also ChatGPT in terms of sometimes the client has given you a whole big heading. You want to summarize, a good writing. So I put them. I tell it, please do this, summarize it, just do something good that you can get well.
Yeah.
That's so far what I use. Now, away from this, just editing images, summarizing the text, what else can I incorporate in, and what tools can I use? Or like in your work, what some of the tools, away from what I've talked about, like image generation, text generation.
Okay.
What else do you add?
Make it your therapist.
Okay, so you can make it your therapist, which you can. But I'll go back to that screen there. So you've mentioned ChatGPT for helping you, break down a lot of words into like succinct paragraphs and stuff like that. One of the things that got me very excited, I think that was in 2021, was when they launched 11 Labs. It generates voices. So immediately we've discovered that thing. Every spec ad we created at the agency I was working at, Black Dot, where we would pitch, would use that to show the client what we want the advert to eventually look like. And using that pipeline of, we've gotten the copywriter to put something together, we've gotten the art director to think about how this whole thing will look, and we've developed it in collaboration with ChatGPT to develop the poster. So maybe the character in the foreground is an AI-generated image, but then the background, the elements that are around them, and to give you an example of something you can look at on my Behance right now, it would be the NatSave campaign that I did. All of the people on that campaign were AI-generated, and then I got images from Shutterstock and mixed them to then create scenarios that I wanted. So when we finished that, we then now think of how we're going to do the video. Usually we would actually go out, find models and do this, and usually a lot of the stuff that would pitch, you'd find that maybe it doesn't even go anywhere because you're pitching like 100 clients to get 10. So you have 100 pitches and all of them you can't really afford to go out and get a model and shoot a spec ad for all of them. But because of AI, we are now able to make a spec ad for all 100 clients because we'd have voiceovers done. I would train it on my own voice. I'll just read in the tone that I wanted it, and then I'll train it and say, I want you to now read this script, and it'll come out sounding pretty good. So you can do voiceovers. Suno over there, you can use it for music. It can generate instrumentals or sounds with like people singing on them. And Kling is what you can use for videos. So in your pipeline, you need to understand like what is it that you get paid for. If you're a logo designer, you'll be using image generation to maybe come up with ideas of how you're going to, like what direction you can go in to design the logo. Obviously, you're not letting the AI design the logo. I hope no one is letting AI design the logos. Yeah. What you're doing is you're treating it almost like when you go to Pinterest to look at a reference, that's how you should be treating AI. As a copywriter, as a videographer, as a graphic designer, that's the new Pinterest. along with actual Pinterest, because you still want to know what actual people are doing in the space. I hope I've answered your question.
Afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
So my name is Moriarty. I'm a graphic design and animation lecturer. So this is, you can imagine how hot this topic is with my students.
Oh yeah.
Okay, only one student, so I can continue. Only one. Okay, so currently university policy is any AI generated information amounts to plagiarism at the university. But then he said one sentence for me that just covers it. That covers everything. Mapaalo said, AI won't replace you, but a creative, and the keyword therefore is creative. A creative who uses AI will replace you. And for me, that's the most fundamental part. A creative who uses AI. You see, Mapaalo is a creative. So what does that tell me? He knows that AI generated images won't do someone writing their left hand properly. He knows that the geotag of the images will say this image was created by AI. Even if it was half the image, even if it was just a little, he knows if it's generating a video of someone, you know there will be a problem in the eyes. So he'll know how to skip around that. And for me, that has always been the part. Creative. A creative using AI. So I really, really love these tools. I swear I use them all the time. I use them all the time. In fact, for my animation students now, storyboarding is basically just AI generated images. Then after that, we can go to our animation. But you have to understand the core principles, especially I'm going to focus on the creative side. You have to understand the core principles of design. I mean, some of our old people here remember, I mean, now we have a select subject.
Yes,
remember?
oh.
Yes, we had the time. 3 days of just
pen tool.
Pen tool. We had the pen tool, it was a pen tool, but now it was, you can basically download any images. A video as a PNG. Yeah. With no background. Be careless. So as a creative, the AI tools are amazing, but still you have to understand the fundamental cores. One of the stories I always tell my students is the person who made the wheel wasn't the smart one, it was the person who made the 3 yards. Right? Because then he realized, oh, now it's a wheel, now I can actually run faster and further, do all these things, right? So use these tools. I really appreciate it, use it, but don't forget the core elements of being a designer. Those core fundamentals.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
And I couldn't have wrapped it up any better. It's whatever it is, and going back to it is you have to realize that now AI allows us to do what our mom said we could do. You can be anything you want to be now. so pursue that with everything. Yeah. Do you have any more questions? Okay, so we'll start there, then go to Martha, and then go there. Okay.
So I just have like 2 contributions, then one question.
Yeah.
So I would say don't treat AI as your competition. Right? Treat it as your ally or your companion. Then when it comes to prompting it, don't go beyond the surface results that you get. So that could look something like, if you prompt it something, don't just end there. Like probe it further, interact with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Then the other thing I wanted to ask, and I'm curious what you know about.
Yeah.
So there's this phrase that's been going around, like, AI isn't here to replace creatives, but creatives that are using AI. So I've just been thinking, I don't know if you saw the recent ChatGPT update.
Yes.
Crazy stuff. So my mind immediately went to traditional artists. Like those guys produce gold, and they show us the process, the BTS, So I was just thinking, like, how does a traditional artist leverage AI, or is there even a chance for them to leverage AI to improve their work or whatnot? Yeah, I don't know.
I love that question, and I'm glad you asked it because I feel like maybe I may have not touched on that strongly enough. So AI gives blank superpowers, and blank is the expert in whatever field it is. So if you're an artist who was very good in terms of like anime style drawings, and someone asks you to draw like a comic book style, now you can use AI to, because you already have the tactile knowledge of how to hold a pen and shape it to create whatever you want. How you play with colors can be done with AI. it's like we always, like usually we tend to think of, oh, it's generating images, so therefore I don't need an artist. But the truth is, no one can generate an image of Taonga accurately right now. You still need someone who knows what he actually looked like to shape that thing for you. And yeah, it's going to get better. I'm not saying it's not going to get better, because that's what it's doing. It's getting better. And the reason it's getting better is because more of us are using it. And the reason more of us are using it is it's actually solving a problem. And those of us that keep going back to, is it replacing us? Is it replacing us? Yeah, also ignoring the fact that you could be using it too. So as an artist, you could be looking into new ways of playing with color. You could literally, like this presentation, the number of times I would finish it, export it, take it back into DeepSeek or ChatGPT to ask, has it answered the question? Can you boost creativity with AI? And it would walk me through it, and I would look at what it's saying and saying, oh yeah, you're right there, but there's this point that I want to stay. I know you feel like this is irrelevant, but I want it to stay because I'm the one who's in charge. So for artists to answer your question, for an artist to leverage AI, I think when they look at it from a creative standpoint of how else can I be making art? Is there a way I could be playing with my colors? Is there a way I could experiment with like landscapes, scenarios, or characters? You do that, and as an artist, you will also find yourself improving. The same way I've found myself getting better at building presentations and speaking in front of crowds, because this, believe it or not, was trained with AI. Yeah. There was a question here first. We'll come to you after that last question there.
So for me, I like to take it as a consultant. And we know a consultant's job is to make your work easier, to make you profitable, depending on what you need a consultant for. But oftentimes you cannot afford to pay consultation fees. So I use AI, for example, when I'm looking for clients. I'm sure if you also do online advertising, you run Facebook ads like I do. And we know with Facebook ads, Facebook has a lot of strict policies. You can run an ad, and you think you've done a very good job on it. Few minutes later, your ad is not approved, it's rejected, or maybe your ad account gets banned. So how I use AI is, before I post an ad, I get my copy, give it to AI and say, assess this ad and make it better and compliant with Facebook ad policies. Mm-hmm. After that, I don't have to worry about whether Facebook will approve my ad or not. And then another thing is, we know, of course you need Facebook ads knowledge, but we know sometimes it's a matter of luck and how Facebook is going to interpret your ad and how it will perform. So again, I use AI and tell it, I want you to assess this ad, tell me what I need to do in order for it to guarantee me very good results. And I take it back into AI, it gives me the same copy, but of course improved, and I just take it the way it is, or maybe just add a little things of my own, and I can tell you, my ads since then, I don't have to worry about will it perform, am I wasting my money? I always know if I'm going to fill up a WhatsApp group with those ads, I'm filling it up. If I want to make sales with that ad, I know I'm going to make sales because I got it from the horse's mouth. So it's like Facebook telling me, if you want me to bring you customers, I want you to treat me like this. I want you to speak to me like this. So I think if you can also employ that into your business or into anything that you're doing, you get the best of results.
Yep. Oh, and before we go to the last question there, I feel like Martha needs to be on the next episode of the Duwit Podcast if she hasn't already. I want to hear more from her, like legit. We can go to the other question there.
Alright, so my question is not from a creative point of view. It's just like a general question towards what you said about AI.
Yeah.
So as for me, I have some sort of fear. Because like everybody here, AI is so convenient, it makes our life easier. It's like a lifesaver. We've done so many assignments in like 2 hours. We just do like in 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, my fear is entirely depending on it. Like for me, I'm like, okay, let me think. I think, okay, I'm not getting anything. AI. Okay, AI. So like I have something, okay, will I entirely depend on it now? But I get to a point I don't think for myself. Yeah, sometimes I have thoughts like that.
It's a very real fear. And to answer honestly and bluntly, there will be people who will become that. But there are also going to be people who, the same way a lot of us in here can't make an advert without Photoshop. because Photoshop isn't doing all the work for you. You're still putting everything together. So yes, there will be people who will just 100%, and we will know them. we already noticed them. We already noticed the ChatGPT response.
There's also like an example of people leaving out the text. They copy something from ChatGPT, and then is this a response you were looking
is that
for?
the response? Yeah. So the more people who use it like that, remember, it's amplifying. So it will amplify even those people in that, this is a ChatGPT influencer.
Yeah.
And you will know. You will know. Okay.
Yeah, to what he said. So as of now, right, at UNZA, because I'm a student here, at the Media and Communication Department, they allow 10% AI in your assignments and work.
That's very progressive. That's very progressive. That's surprisingly progressive. I will go here, then there. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, especially based on the automation of artificial intelligence in general, and it does harken back to what you were saying about ongoing conversations about originality, human to machine reliance. But when those questions come up, I always assess what your response is, a creative and AI. And for you to be a creative and AI, you have to understand the fundamentals. So, speaking to you and my lecturer over here, and also speaking for others who are in their second semester of YouTube University, what are those fundamentals?
Okay, so in graphic design, we have the core fundamentals: hierarchy, space, contrast, repetition. Designers know them because that's what we drill into our heads as we learn the craft. If you see yourself as a designer, those are the fundamentals you need to know. And as you are prompting with AI, yes, AI also knows those fundamentals, but when you want to break them, which is where creativity exists, it's when you know the rules and you're now bending them to your will. That's where you come in. And there is also like something that you've touched on, which is the autonomous agents that are currently existing, which I know companies are going to be using to advertise to say, get rid of your agency today with this tool. That is very scary. That aspect of that is scary. But the reality is, you can get rid of your agency today too. You know what I mean? So it's like we're living in a competitive world. It's what capitalism literally is. And when you understand that fundamental law, because you have to understand all the fundamentals. Once you understand that fundamental law, you realize that we're not going to go far in a system that encourages competition by not competing. Yeah. Yeah, no, please.
Okay, but so completely agree 100% with everything Mapaalo has said. So for my students, for example, the first rule I tell them when I first meet them, second semester, yes, is my job is to teach you the rules so that you learn how to break them. That is the basics of graphic design. You're just learning the rules. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one day you're going to be like, no, Moriarty, why is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No, I want 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I should not be able to tell you to say, no, you can't do that. I should be able to say, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. That actually makes sense. And that's the way of doing it, which is why, not really on the digital design aspect, like I really get emotional when I see, those YouTube artists who gets a bucket of paint and throws it on canvas and it's like, 20,000. That kills me. That kills me because, for example, you all know the famous Picasso painting. But if you look down in history, he was also like a really good, just a normal artist. He could draw like all these Renaissance type art. He could do that. Yeah. So one day he drew that and he was like, I can break the rules. I can do something else. And he does something completely different. No one went and argued with him, wow, this is what. Like, okay, yeah, why can't we do it? So now that follows. So Agree with that. Learn the rules so that you know how to break them. AI is going to follow the rules to the letter.
Yeah.
It's going to, this is straight. No, make this circle a straight line. That's not possible. I can't do that. So you have to learn all the rules. Then you just start breaking them one by one.
Yeah,
you
and
find your own language there.
And to add on, I think just the innovators of the next 10, 20 years are most likely going to be people who are breaking the rules with AI. That's who will be getting a lot of conversations, a lot of things happening. So it could be you. Yeah, so we'll go to the last question. Yeah, that's the last question, yeah.
The question is based on this slide.
Yeah.
I think from a management perspective, cost always comes up.
Yeah.
Now, a number of these tools are free for certain, there are limitations.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in how you justify spend on these tools within the company. Because there are new ones coming up every day. So do you have these conversations every week to say, oh, there's this new tool that let's spend more? How do you manage that process within a company so that it's structured? It's not just you coming
You're not just jumping on every tool that comes up. Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is where now the fun part happens is there's probably going to be a new job, which is figuring this stuff out and following which ones are stable, which ones are not, which ones give you good results, which ones don't. So yes, you might be scared that, it's replacing it, but there's also now new things that are coming up because like you've mentioned, there's going to be companies that want to be at the cutting edge of this, but they'll need to be informed on what the cutting edge is and which of those cutting edge tools is actually like sustainable and that works for their company. Within my own company, I justify spend by which of these tools is going to make the most out of the other ones. Which is why the one that I pay for is ChatGPT. Because I know that, and the reason is not even, and I'm not saying pay for it because of the reason I pay for it is I just like talking to it. That is a feature that's behind the paywall. And as you've probably noticed, I love to talk. So usually my wife is just like hearing me have random conversations with a robot in the house. Yo, this presentation is kind of sucking right now. I need you to like give it a bit of zhuzh, and it knows what zhuzh is. So that's what I justify from my end is because everything runs through ChatGPT for me. Is whether I'm using DeepSeek, ImageFX, Suno, FreePic, or the Kling tools, everything runs through ChatGPT, and that's the one that I've seen I pay for because of that. But it all depends on what the needs of the company are, and you, through the process of investigation and whatnot, the tip, maybe to just answer the question, the tip that I can give is don't go for anything that came out last month because all of the adverts are showing you best case scenario. Even with the tool that Dickens spoke about, which has like sketch to image, what they showed us was great. I tried it. It didn't give me the results I was looking for. And when you start looking at those things now, when you realize that, oh, they give us best case scenario, so you look for a tool that came out years ago, try that. See where it's at, like Midjourney is currently on version 6. So it's stable enough, and while I have my issues with it, someone else will be swearing by it because that's what works for them. So it's all about understanding what your company actually needs, knowing the tools, and also understanding that anything new is probably being hyped a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was the... Do we have one more?
Okay.
Oh, it's a contribution.
One more.
I just wanted to add on to what you said about the sketch to AI. Because for me, I use all architectural programs. So there's no space for, like, you can only use AI once you've done the work. So like, for example, SketchUp, you have to go building to building, these little things you measured, and then you can generate it into AI. So you kind of have to remember that there's only so much you can use it for. And for my career, it's personal. I can't say AI, like, generate a design for this person. They don't know this person the same way I do. Because I'm the one who's having conversations with you. So it goes back to what she said, like having like a community where you can collaborate with, ask questions and say, okay, what's the problem with this? Because for architecture, it's available. Like you can say,
that. But in interior design, there's nothing. Because no one fully understands it. So yeah, just remember that at the end of the day, you are the creative, so you get to do with that as you will. But it's up to you to use it to your best ability, or to be lazy and say this will do it for me.
Yep.
So yeah.
My entire point said by another person.
All right. Yeah. Let's give a hand to Mapaalo. All right. How was the session? Awesome. Great. Yeah. So we are wrapping it up now. I know there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot more to come. But I just want to thank everyone. Never thought this would happen when I was starting out the Duwit Podcast, but being able to see faces, most of you we just met online, had conversations online, and now we're able to see each other in person. Gives me joy and fulfillment. So thank you for coming through. So there's going to be a bit of networking after this. Of course, I know most of us, we have a lot of people that we want to meet for the first time and whatnot. So we're going to do that. Yeah. So creatives, remember, this is where I came from. I love this space. It's a really good place. So remember, there are different types of packages for you. If you want to come for a day, they have everything here. If you want to rent space, if you're a freelancer or anything, you can always come to this place and work here. So thank you so much. We'll be sending an email to each one of you after this. There's going to be a WhatsApp group where we're going to have updates on upcoming events. So this is not the last event. We have a lot more coming in the future. So thank you so much for coming through. Remember to like and to subscribe to Duwit. And yeah, let's do it. All right, we can start, get some drinks, and yeah, let's talk.